Now, further decode of John Kerry's speech to expose how a sitting American president, the then President Barack Obama, with his CIA hawks, plotted the jihad that is going on in Nigeria as of today. Going back to that decode, going back to John Kerry's speech, and the decode I made in 2016, different phases of the strike forces they will use in Biafra land and their mission. That's my heading. Then, quoting John Kerry, now certainly northeastern Nigeria is not the only region that is plagued by violent extremism. And sadly, Boko Haram isn't the only terrorist group that we face in the world today. End of quote. Do you know what it means? It means that Nigeria is not the only country in the world where they are facing this kind of challenges. And that Boko Haram that they established in Nigeria to handle this particular Nigerian challenge is not the only terror group they have established to deal with similar situations in other parts of the world. Still going further, he said, quoting him, he said, earlier this year, an Islamic militant group linked to Al-Qaeda killed 30 people when they bombed a hotel in Burkina Faso over the 6 months of 2016. The Law Resistance Army abducted more than 500 people, mostly in the Central African Republic and the Democratic Republic of Congo. And just a few days ago, Al-Sahab militants killed 15 people and injured more than 80 when they detonated an attack near an open market in Gakayo in Somalia. And terrorists from or inspired by Daesh have carried out vicious attacks in Europe, the Middle East, South Asia, and the United States of America. Do you know what it means? It means that there are already different categories of their London terrorist group, military groups. Boko Haram, whatever one choose to call them, whether Boko Haram or jihadists, but one thing is common to all. They are not any local outfit, but specially well-trained group in different categories, not under command of any local authority in Nigeria, be it military high command or the presidency. They are directly controlled and receive their orders direct from unseen commander far away from Nigeria at American Ground Zero, or scattered all over the Western command countries, and definitely not under one central command figure. Each group may not know what the other is doing, and each group is engaged in their own particular trained area of operation and must go directly to complete their specific tasks and must not be distracted from their specific target when hostility starts in Biafra land. All these groups are already on the ground in Biafra land studying their specific targets and putting the final touch on their operational guideline. So these are the terrorists that they are using the coded messages of Nnamdi Kanu to pass message to in Biafra land. Still continuing, I'm still coming. Let me still remember when it was written in 2016. Now, still quoting John Kerry's speech. Islamic militant group linked to Al-Qaeda bombed a hotel in Burkina Faso means that, end of quote, means that those who are specifically trained and dispatched to take care of all the hotels in Biafra land, and they are currently even among the guests of these hotels, they will bomb when the final order is given. Most certainly, they have already been deployed in little groups to their various targets in Biafra land. Well, I need to pause here, to stress and re-emphasize on a very big point. Like I always said before, the British historian, Sir Robert John Siller, he said that history is past politics and politics present history. He said, I have that ambition to do what? To cross-fertilize their brain cells. To enable us do what? To puncture that elliptical or beating of history. To bring you into the realm of analytical thinking so that you can be able to escape from the present circumstances. So what I'm just doing, like always, they go and say this man is writing nonsense and all that. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is that when a borderline of pain is crossed, the brain just bursts, something like that. And one goes back to his native tongue. So Munem, Egwa na agba ọpọlọ na Jeremy. Agwa anụ zikwe gị n'akịrịka. Agwa na n'olu, agwa na chetagbue. Agwa nụnụ na-ejikwa ihe m na-ekwukwe bifo egwu. Biko, onye ejikwe ihe a m na-ekwu egwu. Maka gịnị? We are 1 second away from extinction. 1 second away from extinction. And I want heaven and earth to bear me witness that I told you and therefore warned you of this calamity that is coming before you. So purge yourself of any ambiguity or any sentimental issue and do what? And face the realism of the truth, of this present truth. Otherwise, you will be a victim. Before heaven and earth today, let them bear me witness that I preach this message to you. Let our ancestors bear me witness that I preach this message to you. What you do with it, that is your business before I go forward. That tells me, let me read the Bible for you. Let me go to like a passage I want to put in the Bible before I go. And that is what? That is Luke chapter 14. Let me start from verse 16. He said, Then said ye unto him, a certain man made a great supper and bade many. That's our Lord Jesus Christ speaking. And sent his servant at supper time to say to them that were bidding, Come, for all things are now ready. And they all with one accord, with one consent, began to make excuse. They first said unto him, I have bought a piece of ground, and I must needs go and sell it. I pray thee, have me excuse. And another said, I have bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I go to prove them. I pray thee, have me excuse. And another said, I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. So that servant came and showed his lord these things. Then the master of the house, being angry, said to his servant, Go out quickly into the streets and lanes of the city, and bring in hither the poor and the men, and the halt and the blind. And the servant said, Lord, it is done, as thou hast commanded, and yet there is room. And the Lord said unto the servant, Go out into the highways and hedges, and compel them to come in, that my house may be filled. For I say unto you, that none of those men which were bidden shall taste of my supper. The Biafra, these are referring to you. You call yourself Omuchuku, Omonka, Omonka. Others will take your place. Others will take your place. You are called and you refuse to come. Okay. Counting the cost. And then went great multitude with him, and he turned and said unto them, I'm saying unto you, Biafra, if any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. And whoever does not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which of you intending to build a tower, seated not first and counted the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? This is for you, Biafra. Lest, haply, after he had laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold, it began to mock him, saying, This man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king going to make war against another king, seated not down first, and consulted whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000? Or else, while the other is yet a greater way off, he sendeth an ambassador and desired conditions of peace. It is this particular place that made me to be reading this to you. So likewise, whosoever he be of you that forsaketh not all that he had, he cannot be my disciple. Salt is good, but if the salt have lost his savour, wherewith shall he be seasoned? It is neither fit for the land, nor yet for the dunghill, but men cast it out. He that had ears to hear, let him do what? Let him hear. You know, all my past messages, you people joke with it. You never take it serious. And now, we have entered a very critical situation. I'm going to count the cost, of your present situation now and the future. And there's no alternative to it. That is why you have to listen very seriously to the message that I'm giving in this particular edition before I go back to where I stopped. Presently, whether we like it or not, if you follow my advice, if you are going to accept the suggestion that I am going to make here, 15 to 20% of Biafrans are going to die. That is very, very certain. 15 to 20% of Biafrans are going to die. Then at the end, we are going to get our freedom. But if you refuse to follow the suggestion that I'm going to give you, and you make joke of it and make jest of it like you used to do in the past, not less than 70% of Biafrans living in Biafra land will die, and most of them, about 50%, will not see their dead body. Go and mark what I'm telling you today. Then those in abroad, more than 70% of us here that are abroad too, will never make it back again to Biafra land forever and ever, and our children will be gone and gone forever. That is exactly the situation. So this is not a message that you are going to use to play, because I am going to show you the events that I'm going to show you exactly what awaits us, the events that confronts us, so that we can be, be confronted with the stark reality, of the present situation that we are facing. Whether we like it or not, let me just tell you, the issue of Biafra restoration, is no longer about crossing the Rubicon or crossing the equator. We have Biafra restoration have crossed the common line. Nothing brings it back. And the only salvation we have is Biafra. Let me tell you, there's nothing, without Biafra restoration, you are finished. Because to start with, your leaders are already carnivorous. Without Biafra, they are going to eat your life. Most of you, even how are you going to pay your future rents, to your landlords and all that? Maybe you sell your children to them. So Biafra is the only, without Biafra, like we that are here, we already programmed to die here. That is exactly the same thing. So I'm going to show you how this thing is being plotted. So everybody will do what? Have to listen very carefully and see the danger we are in, so that when suggestions on the way of escape come, we are going to embrace it with two hands and do what? And be able to escape from this present reality that confronts us today. The total population of the Igbos, as a single ethnic group in Nigeria, is between 53 to 55 million. They are the largest, the most populous ethnic group in Nigeria. That is the true population of the Igbos in Nigeria. So what I'm actually telling you is that if you follow the suggestion that I'm going to give, because I told you Biafra is coming this year, and I am going to give you a blueprint that will get you Biafra. Remember, the journey of the Israelites to the Promised Land was supposed to be 40 days. 40 days turned into 40 years because of their word, because of their unbelief and strong-headedness. That is exactly what happened. I'm going to give you a blueprint that will give you Biafra in the next 40 days. That is my mission. I'm going to give you the solution that will lead to it. Once and for all. If you miss it in the 40 days, you are gone and gone forever. You can never. It took the Israelites 40 years, but their own is, you can never come back to that land. You'll be extinguished. So the suggestion I'm going to give you will involve the death of at least not less than 10 million Biafrans. Between 10 million Biafrans if you take it. But if you don't take what I'm telling you, more than 35 million Biafrans will be wiped out. I'm telling you. Mark today's date. So I'm telling you, any day this thing is published, just go and write that date. And bear it in mind. It's not a joke. I'm going to show you exactly how this plot is going to be carried out, so that you see by yourself. What is planned for you have never happened anywhere since this war began in the annals of humanity. Of man's inhumanity to man. It has never happened. What is planned against you. So you have to take it very, very serious. This is not a time to joke. They have plotted to do what? They have plotted to do what? Completely destroy you. So let me just assume, I'm talking of particularly in Biafra land as of now. So let me just assume all of us, let us assume that we are living on borrowed time. For those of you who are living in diaspora, I will give one suggestion too. Go and call your relatives you have in Nigeria. If it is a video call, you call them. Just as if you are seeing them for the last time, discuss with them whatever you want to do for them, you do it now. Because chances is that you may not be able to see them again. That is what I'm telling you. If you fail to do what I'm telling you, if you fail to accept my advice, you may not be able to see them again in this world. So today, you know, I'll beckon on the Prime Minister, the President of Russia, that is Vladimir Putin. I'll beckon on him. The Prime Minister of Israel, you know, is compulsory, whether he likes it or not, it's mandatory on him, obligatory on him. And that will show you by divine that he will do what? He is very much invited in what is happening in Biafra land. Likewise, the president of Japan, you know, I think he's Sugar. These are few men that I know that have human conscience, like the Prime Minister of India. And Taiwan, President of Taiwan. I beckon on them to be witnesses because they are the few people that are left, especially Vladimir Putin. I know he has signed armed contracts with Nigeria and others. Let him forget that these are people who have milk of human kindness. It doesn't matter what role they play. I'm inviting them to be here. You know, both Narendra Modi, I'm inviting them to be witnesses to what we are saying. So let me just read the Great White Throne Judgment. That is Revelation 20:11-15. It is a witness against them. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and they were judged, even every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death, and whoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. This is Revelation 20:11-15. So these world leaders that I have called you to be witnesses before the first death, to do what? To come to the mercy of Biafrans and the Igbo race, that the global community have do what? Have plotted to wipe out of the surface of this earth. As I'm going to show you, I've been showing you, I've been reading the plot that they plotted in 2016 against an innocent race. That is the plot that they are executing today with the same exactitude. Man's inhumanity to man. I told you that as this candle is burning, the country Nigeria, you know, is doing what? Is going down finally from the subduction of the earth crust. Finally, never to be recovered again. As I'm telling you, I've told you before that the British historian, Sir John Robert Sidney, he said that history is past politics and politics present history. So as I told you before, I want to reiterate it, that I want to do what? Cross-fertilize their brain. So that you will do what? You will come out, you will break that endless circle, you know, of elliptical orbiting of history, so that you stop repeating itself down the annals of humanity, to elevate you to the realm of analytical thinking, you know, into a higher man that will conform gradually into the image that will bring you into the image of God. I've told you that. That's why I like Mercedes-Benz. You know, Mercedes-Benz is one car that can never, almost impossible to get you, you know, disappointed on the road without a forewarning. Mercedes car, before it can disappoint you any part, there's always a preview, there's always a warning sign that this is going to happen, so that you take precaution. When it happens, they'll be telling Jesus, oh Jesus, oh Jesus, oh. Now is the pre-warning that Jesus is forewarning you, so that you do what? So that you will take proactive action that will save you from the imminent death that confronts you, because on that day, you will be calling Jesus, and Jesus will be nowhere to answer you. So what I'm saying is, being inspired by the Lord Jesus Christ has proved that Jesus is God. As I told you, that the total destruction of the evil empire called Nigeria will be the final proof that we show that Jesus is God. So whatever I'm telling you, don't use it like say you want to use it and joke. If you want to joke with it, that is your personal business. That is your personal business if you want to joke with it. The power of understanding is the most important power in this life. So I pray that the Lord Jesus Christ will give you the power of understanding, give you the bravery, the innate ability, that is, words that say, my word, my grace is sufficient for you to be an overcomer. So that you will have courage. That courage does not do what? That courage does not accept defeat. So that you will do what? You will do what is needful in this present time. Otherwise, you are gone forever. So that will not be our portion in the name of Jesus. Now, before I go further, let me read something, go down a bit, memory lane. Let me read something I wrote in 2001 when that dastardly act of 9/11 happened, and September 11 this year we mark the 20th anniversary. That dastard act by these same evil people that are behind this plot today, the same party that is in power in America. And I hope in this 20th anniversary, this secret will finally be cracked and people will come to know the truth. I dedicate this one to them also, and I hope before that September 11, in this particular anniversary, I'll be able to do an edition in their honor. To their loved ones, the pains of remembrance and the healing process. As they take heart, that is what I call the Prime Minister of Japan, Yoshihide Suga, because he bore the pain of Hiroshima and Nagasaki to come to the rescue of the Biafrans, and all these people that lost their families in that dastardly act by these nihilistic bloodsuckers, that are still in power today, that are behind all these evil things that are happening. Their loved ones should come up and denounce what is happening and join in a global demonstration that will expose these evil forces and bring to a halt their destruction they plotted against humanity, both in the COVID-19 imbroglio that is going on, which I will still do later in this part. So let me just read, I wrote a two-part article, that was published in newspapers in that time. The second part, just a brief, first and second paragraph of that particular second edition, let me just read it, because it's germane to what we're discussing here. Look at it. It's the second part of published write-up on 9/11 in 2001. And I quote, finally on the 9/11 attack. I'm quoting it sick as I wrote it. Finally on the 9/11 attack on America. I had earlier reproduced the first part of my published write-up on that dastardly act way back in 2001. The second part of the same article, published by the then web-making and biggest-selling magazine in Lagos then, New Treasure magazine of October 29, 2001. Anything I do, I give you a backup you can cross-check to find out. New Treasure magazine of October 29, 2001 is quite revealing and is being reproduced verbatim below for the world to judge with the benefit of hindsight. I have written then as follows, sick, and I want you to note the forces that are behind this thing. Satan has raised up his horse of 11th hour negative intellectual extremists. The earth has come to the end of its traveling, and the sun-clothed woman of Revelation 12:1 has brought forth the precious fruit, the man-child. God has also raised up his positive fundamental intellectual extremists, the man-child. Born on an 11th day, the 11th hour man for an 11th day tragedy. 11th hour messenger reference workers in the vineyard of Matthew 26, because after the 11th hour is midnight, meaning apocalypse. I am the positive version of God's fundamental intellectual extremist, a terrorist to the kingdom of darkness that is needed not only to counterbalance the intellectual prowess of negative forces, but to dismiss their threats by exposing them and point the right way for children of God to return to Zion. These are what we are dealing with, fundamental intellectual first 11 of devil, of Satan himself. That's what we are dealing with. Renowned men, ancient giants of the old days before the fall of man. Capable intellectual keepers. So when you see all these useless type of dancing, they are arrested, they don't know what Biafra is. Biafra restoration is a spiritual battle that they don't know even where it is being fought. They don't know the energy, the hard work, the sheer intellectual depth of the ability that is needed to crack the backbone of these forces of darkness and release the children of God from the snares of Satan. They don't know. It is a war from above the command line to the negative forces of the heart. This evil party, they are still in power today. They are the people who killed Abacha. They killed Abiola. That is what they did. They kidnapped the Chibos girls. They were the forces, the same party that are behind the 9/11 attack. That is what is happening. And they are the forces that we are what? We are going to see the immense plan, the in-depth thing they plotted to do in 2016 before the coming of Trump, who is a party to what is happening now, came into power because he was an outsider. That was why. They could not trust him. That was the only thing that happened. So we are going to see, I've called all the witnesses so that we will see exactly what these evil forces, as I have been saying before, the speech of what? John Kerry in Sokoto. That is what we are decoding. Now back to the speech of John Kerry, delivered in Sokoto on August 23, 2006 that we have been decoding. I have already produced verbatim the complete text of that particular speech that we are decoding. So I'm going to, the name of the title of the speech is what? The importance of resilient communities and religious tolerance encountering violent extremism. That is the name of the speech. So going back to where I stopped, on that decode, let me go to where I stopped. You say what? Islamic militant group linked to, I'm quoting John Kerry now. Islamic militant group linked to Al-Qaeda bombed a hotel in Burkina Faso. My decode means that those who are specifically trained and dispatched to take care of the hotels in Biafra land, and they are currently even among the guests of these hotels, they will bomb when the final order is given. Most certainly, they have already been deployed in little groups to their various targets in Biafra land. Lost Resistance Army abducted, end of quote. Do you know what it means? It means that this group had the specific instruction to abduct, not to kill, already earmarked persons that must be taken alive in the southeast and south-south, even north-central. They also have been deployed. Lost Resistance Army will equally and most probably, apart from taking victims captive, will also destroy all churches in Biafra land. This was what? This was in 2016. It is the anachronistic nature of this event that is making the Biafrans not to know exactly what is happening today. Cross-check it with what is happening today, and I will tell you how they did what, how they replicated this thing now that they are carrying out this particular order. Now I want you to note again, I'm quoting him. Al-Shabaab militants, I want you to note that Al-Shabaab militants detonated an attack, end of quote. Note the use of attack and not bomb near an open market, end of quote, means that all or most markets in the southeast and south-south had already received deployment of squads that will attack and bomb all these markets, currently studying the best time to strike, most of them disguised as beggars who are spies that will report on movements of Biafrans. Have you seen it? Check what I'm telling you now. When was it written? 2016. They have done what? They have duplicated all these things through Nnamdi Kalu's broadcast. That is what is going on, because they are carrying out this thing exactly as it happened. That is exactly what is happening now. Now, evidence that they created ISIS. I want you to check. I'm quoting John Kerry. And terrorists or inspired by Daesh have carried, end of quote, means that Daesh, they must be inspired and replicate what ISIS did in Iraq by their seizure and control of the area called Daesh in Iraq, which clearly shows that they created ISIS. The whole group, not limited to those mentioned above, are to be encouraged and improve on the successes of others they will hear about and make their own operation far more better, far more vicious, far more terrible and horrendous than the ones already reported about in the various areas of operation, especially in the southeast, south-south, Benue, Plateau, and other parts. This is in 2016. Check all these places that are mentioned today. Are they not the hotspots of hostility today? You see? The various Boko Haram commanders involved in the war are to seize Biafra towns and villages and control them, as ISIS did at Daesh in Iraq, even as Boko Haram did in the northeast, from where they were relocated to Biafra land. And those living in the core north and southwest will be taken care of in those states by the local Boko Haram that will block all exit routes and embark on house-to-house massacre of Biafrans in their domain. That is exactly the message of Barack Obama to terrorist group against Christians in Nigeria, delivered through American Secretary of State John Kerry. Now, I will show you how they have replicated this thing in Nnamdi Kalu's broadcast. For what? For final execution. Now, check the quantum of Boko Haram that have been surrendering. And remember the 16 Boko Haram commanders that surrendered before. Commanders surrendered, Abi. Where were the troops of the commander? Did they surrender with their troops? They never surrendered with their troops. And that is very, very important and very, very what? And very, very germane to the discussion that we are discussing today. I have told you before, to do what? To purge yourself of every predisposed inclination or leanings or something like that. Remove emotionalism and go right on to critical thinking. Otherwise, you are going to finish without any threat. Because I have told you that the solution, the primary solution to what we are going to is what? Mad, mutual assured destruction. You are going to have the belief that you are already living in borrowed time. Wherever you are, it's a battlefield and that is a burial ground. You must have to assume that. I told you about the films that have made impression in my life. I told you about one that was called Mermaid, just exactly like this beautiful lady here. One man saw this mermaid coming out of the water, you know, as a mermaid, as a fish with fins like this. The man saw and the mermaid what? Mingled into the town. And the man started chasing this mermaid. It was a Herculean task for the man to prove to people that this beautiful lady is a mermaid. They never believed the man. The man went through torturous, you know, processes before he was able to finally do what? Finally prove his case. I told you, Nnamdi Kanu is the greatest satanist out of Igbo land. You understand me? It will take time, but we are going to break his backbone for the final expose. That is how it will be. Finally, you will come to realize. I have told you that the work of Satan in heaven, it was the what? The anointed cherub that covered it. You know what Satan was doing in heaven? Satan was covering God. That was the job of Satan. He was covering God. And that is the work he's doing in this world today. Nnamdi Kanu is an apostle of Satan. What is he doing? He is covering the Biafrans, especially the Igbos, from the realism of the present truth of what confronts them, so that they can do what? So that they can be eliminated and be slaughtered by his own, by his white masters that he is what? That he is working for. So break the bone of the anointed cherub that covered it, that from today you cover the children of God no more. So now you have seen this particular thing that I have done. I'm going to replicate, I'm going to word show you one of Nnamdi Kalu's broadcasts that contain these orders and how they have been moving it, and you are going to see with your own two naked eyes. So purge yourself of every predisposition. So let us now come to this issue of the 16 Boko Haram commanders whom I told you about before. And earlier, I told you that Nnamdi Kanu was the person who supplied the intelligence that was to Abakari group, that they used to do what? That they used to assassinate Ikonso, their late commander. Up to today, IPOP they have not disproved that. They are not interested in doing what? In confronting the truth about that particular thing, or to come to an open debate with me and tell me that I'm lying. Nnamdi Kanu, in one of his key messages that I have read before, supplied the intelligence information that Abakwari used to kill Ikonso extrajudiciously. And now, the extrajudiciary, you know, now they have not even talked anything about it till today. That is one point. So we are coming to the issue of the 16 Boko Haram commanders. Now we have seen the various London jihadists that they are going to, use and destroy the Biafrans, and it's very important to revisit the issue of the 16 Boko Haram, surrendered commanders, to bring out a very important point before we go to the Nnamdi Kalu speech. So let me just go back to John Kerry's speech again. Yeah, he mentioned the 16 Boko Haram surrendered commanders. And meanwhile, this was in what? In 2016, don't forget. Now, back to John Kerry's quote, one of his subheadings, denouncing dead-end ideologies. I'm quoting him. He said, there is no question in recent months that important progress has been made. And particularly here in Nigeria, over the last 6 months, the Nigerian army has rescued thousands of civilian hostages. Hundreds of Boko Haram fighters surrendered to Nigerian forces. In July, Nigerian troops captured 16 of the group leaders who admitted that they were running out of food, that their fighters were living off fruits and unripe fruits. I want you to note it. In July, Nigerian wait, let me repeat it again. You said what? Hundreds of Boko Haram fighters surrendered to Nigerian forces. In July, Nigerian troops captured 16 of the group leaders who admitted that they were running out of food, that their fighters were living off fruits and unripe fruits. And just last week, your army thwarted an attack on the northeast and took out more than a dozen militants in the process. The fact is that through the multinational joint task force, with help from the United States, France, I want you to know the countries that I mentioned. The fact is that through the multinational joint task force, with help from what? United States, France, and the United States, France, and the United Kingdom, Nigeria and its neighbors are steadily degrading Boko Haram capabilities. Our post here. You hear, France? These are the forces that they are using to destroy Biafra land. These are the promoters of what is happening in Nigeria as of today. It was in relation to this that Macron came to Nigeria and visited for last time. We are going to come to that. Continuing with the quote. Your country has taken back most of the territory that the terrorists had once captured, and Cameroon, Niger, and Chad and Benin have made important contributions and enormous sacrifices in areas along Nigerian borders. These are the internal collaborators in Africa. But we also know that beating Boko Haram on the battlefield is only the beginning of what we need to do. As the American writer Henry David Thoreau wrote, there are 1,000 hurricanes are the branches of evil to only one who is striking at the root. So we have to strike at the root cause of violent extremism to win the struggle for the future. Nations need to do more than just denounce bankrupt dead-end ideologies that the terrorists support. They also have to offer their citizens an alternative that is better, that offers hope, that actually delivers on its promises. End of quote. I'm going to stop here. The issue I want to bring out is that where he talked about the 16 captured Boko Haram commanders. That was in 2016. We have treated it before, and I told you that what they are doing is what they are replicating all these things, so that now that they are, carrying out this particular operation. So now, let us revisit the issue of the 16 Boko Haram commanders. Like I told you before, I've treated it earlier, but it's important. I'll repeat it again to bring out a very important point, So now let's see. Let me just start. Let me start with this one. You say hungry Boko Haram fighters surrendered to Nigerian army. This is the Nation of October 10, 2019. It said the Nigerian army on Wednesday said 5 Boko Haram fighters belonging to the Abanawi, and come to that, faction have surrendered to troops of the 3 battalion following sustained bombardment of the insurgents' hideout in the northeast. Army Operation Media Coordinator Colonel Aminu Iliasu, all these ones are all in Biafra land, said this in a statement in Abuja. He gave the names of the surrendered insurgents as Ramat Muhammad. I want you to listen to their name. Alhaji Brazil, Buka Gambu, Waziri Buka, and Bashima Musa. What I want to bring, you see their names are mentioned. I want to tell you why they are mentioning the names of all these things. All these ones are commanders. You see, according to the statement, the suspects were forced out of their hideout by hunger and unending bombardment, leaving them with no choice than to surrender. By what? hunger and unending bombardment, just like John Kerry mentioned in his speech in 2016. You see how they are replicating it. Now let's look at another report. It says 16 Boko Haram ISWAP terrorists surrender as troops arrest criminal elements nationwide. This is Vanguard, November 8, 2019. Very important. I hope the world is listening. Now, the report. It says in continuation of clearance operation against terrorists in northeast and criminal elements in other parts of Nigeria, troop bombardment have resulted in 16 Boko Haram commanders and ISWAP terrorists surrendering. Making the disclosure in Abuja on Friday, the Deputy Director, Army Public Relations, Colonel Aminu Iliasu, said troops also intercepted and arrested several Boko Haram logistics suppliers and informants in Northeast, as well as eliminated some bandits and other criminal elements in the Northwest and other parts of the nation. The Army said, and I'm quoting, on 1st November 2009, for instance, 16 insurgents, the same number John Kerry mentioned in 2016, he said, surrender. That was the signal, that was the key thing, because all these, when they are looking at all these things, you think that they are what? They think that they are simple messages. They are coded messages, just like the Carlos coded messages and all that. You think he's broadcast. All those things are written for him. You think he's just talking. They are generated, by the, foreign relations, John Campbell and all that, who are his controllers. All those things is parroting. That's exactly what is happening. Those are the signals is passing here. So you don't think he's the one that is talking all those things. He's not the one. So all this, they are broadcast. Unless people stopping them because these broadcasts are going to get into trouble. They have already done all those things. The anachronistic nature is what you are saying. They will only continue to do what? To replay them, to use and do what? Control their London jihadists already. That already in Biafra land. That is what is happening. So now continue with the report. You said the Army said on 1st November 2019, for instance, 16 insurgents along with 8 of their forces who could no longer bear the heat from the onslaught against them surrendered to the relentless troops of Sector 1, Multinational Joint Task Force at Fotoko. Subsequently, the surrendered insurgents were later handed over to troops of 3 battalions, men at Gambazu. All those things are signals. Ngala, a border town northeast of Borno State. Since they surrendered, what happened? Have you heard about them? Have they been court-martialed? Where are they? Continue. During preliminary interrogation and profiling, they confessed to have actively participated in attacks conducted against both military and civilian targets at various times. Thousands of soldiers have been killed. Nigerian soldiers, but then what happened? Nothing. You don't hear anything about these people till today. Continue with the report. It was further revealed that 14 of them, whose names are Ibrahim Bunu, Abaser, Babalamba Alhaji, Buka Isa, Buka Ali, Rawa Abagana, Mustafa Abacha, Umar Abubakar, Hassan Buka, Malam Abacha Ali, Abba Umar Abacha, Hussein Babagana, Idris Muhammad, and Umar Bayon all belong to the Islamic State West Africa Province, ISWAP, led by Abanawi. We are still coming back to Abanawi. While the remaining 2, Hassan Kaku and Babagana Buka Adijebe, belong to Boko Haram Abubakar Shekau faction. The repentant insurgents, however, regretted their participation in the heinous crime they committed against humanity and are now calling on their former colleagues to retrace their steps and also surrender to troops before it is too late. I'm going to stop this report here. Now, can you imagine this government mentioning the names of all these terrorist commanders that are surrendering? Can you imagine? All these things are signals, signals. Do you know why? Nothing can be very, very horrendous and frustrating for a soldier or a combatant, to operate in an environment that he is not familiar with. That is the thing. So these surrender Boko Haram commanders, they are what? They are the people that will now come into Biafra land. They have all been integrated into the Nigerian army and all that. they are the people that are killing all these unknown gunmen and in the army and all that. They are the people, you know, in everywhere in Biafra land, all the places that they are going to carry out this attack, studying their various environments. All these people you see mentioned, they are Al-Sawat militant, these are those commanders that were mentioned in the things I was reading for you before. They detonated an attack. This one, Al-Qaeda, Ishwab, this one, Al-Shabaab. These are those commanders. What? In their area of operations to do what? To study the environment. Now they surrendered. What of the people under them? Did they surrender? They didn't surrender. Those ones will come later. They will come later. Now look at the quantum people, Boko Haram, that are surrendering at this later time. Why are they clearing the Christian communities in the north? So that they will not have any internal enemy when they march to the east. That is what is happening. Shebapop said they are restoring Biafra for you. Did they know what I'm telling you? That is what they claim. You see? Look at the chalk. They are there, you know, claiming glory for what they don't even know what is happening. They claim, you know, parroting. They are just news brokers. They are newscasters. That is what they are. Apart from the signal Nambekalo is pattern. Every day, proper. When do you prepare your strategy for attack? When do you prepare? What is your strategy? What is type of blueprint to restore Biafra for you? Have you seen IPOB before protesting for any of all these boys they are sending to go and die, that they are locked up? Have you seen them protesting before? Protesting for them. What is their blueprint? What is their, how do they plan to get Biafra for you? And then when you talk, idiots will go and start to write something and start to, you know, do nonsense. They say Biafra. When they tell you, they say they have done the job 99%. You 1% you have not even done. Man, on this thing I'm rebelling to you, all of you are gone from A to Z. That's a spiritual fight. Now go and look at it. Those surrender Boko Haram are what? Commanders. I will show you. That was why Macron came to Felashine. Macron came to introduce the people that will control those commanders. That was why he went to Felashine. I'm still coming to that. Then look at what is happening. Go and look at the report. Breaking 601 repentant Boko Haram terrorists, you know, graduate in Gombe. This one is by Sahara Reporters of New York, July 25, 2020. You know, Sahara Reporters is their blackboard. That is their blackboard that they used to give them the kind of signal that they on what they are going to preach. Nambekalo will come and tell you this. It's Daily Independent that is working for them. Is this. Sahara Reporters is the main media for the Antichrist forces, for this American CIA. Sahara Reporters, New York. That's what they do. That is where they give them Nambekalo the blackboard, the topic that we use to balance the signal, you know, the thing that they have already written for him. That will be parroting in his broker. That is what is happening. Now, how many? 601. This one, 602 repentant Boko Haram terrorists do what? Swear oath of allegiance. This is a divisional headquarters, Guardian 16, July 2020. I'm not going to read them because there are a lot of things to discuss. 602 repentant Boko Haram fighters take oath of allegiance, under one. 208 ex-Boko Haram fighters underwent spiritual counseling. Just go and read them. Thousands. Katsina repentant bandits begin implementations of dialogue agreement and others. Go and look at it. Let me just read one for you. Now, let me just read one of the reports. It said 287 repentant Boko Haram fighters to undergo rehabilitation. This is Punch of November 2, 2019. He said, let me go into the body of the report. He said, no fewer than 287 former Boko Haram fighters have been admitted by the military into a rehabilitation program under Operation Safe Corridor being run by the Defense Headquarters. Look at the name of the operation, Safe Corridor, sounding like sugar. Okay, when you come to the east, you become a hot crocodile smile and python dance. Okay, by the Defense Headquarters at Abuja in Gombe State. The Acting Director of Defense Information, Colonel Onyema Nwachukwu, confirmed this to our correspondent on Friday. He said other repentant terrorists will be going will be joining the operation in 2 days' time. Nwachukwu said the operation also handed over 151 rehabilitated clients. I want you to know the word what? Client. Nwachukwu said the operation also handed over 151 rehabilitated clients to the Borno State government for integration in July. You know, Borno State governor, I told you before, is under my command and all that, but he's a terrorist sympathizer, he's on his own. The same thing with Autumn. They are just like a chameleon, they are changing like this. They are not under my protection anymore. So they can go and dance with the people they are tangoing with. So let me just continue with the report. He said 151 rehabilitated. Nwachukwu said the operation also handed over 151 rehabilitated clients to the Borno State government for the integration in July. According to the defense headquarters, the aim of the program, which began in September 2015, is to encourage willing and repentant Boko Haram terrorists to surrender and go through a structured de-radicalization process. The military spokesman told our correspondents that out of the 287 air fighters, 268, including 2 Chadians, have been transferred to their states for integration after completing the program. Nwachukwu said, Operation Safe Corridor is an operation led by the Defense Headquarters. It is a non-kinetic, multi-agency humanitarian operation designed to de-radicalize, rehabilitate, and reintegrate the repentant Boko Haram members. Since its inception in 2016, Operation Safe Corridor has admitted 287 combatants, not the word combatants, into the program, out of which 268, including 2 Chadians, have been successfully reintegrated into the program. On July 22, 2029, the operation also transferred 151 rehabilitated clients to the Borno State government for the integration. Between September and October 2009, we hosted delegations from Cameroon and Chad to study the model of the program. In a couple of days, the program would commence again for the new intakes. He said, for security reasons, he could not take specifically the number of repentant Boko Haram entrants joining in 2 days' time. You see, what we are talking about, all this, we should be talking about the immediate arrest of the imposter, the Akwa Buhari, of Subanjo, and all of them. And that is exactly what we are going to do. All those cabinet, they are terrorists, we are going to arrest all of them. That's exactly what we are going to do. So we are not talking of, we are talking about an immediate end. You know, they have plotted that they want to, shoot Buhari, the man, the hole in the neck and all that. That's what they want to do, but that one will not work out. Now, they call them what? Client and combatant. Now, what is the definition of client? Client is what? One that is under the protection of another. That is dependent. A person who engages the professional advice or services of another. That is what? Customer. So they are what? The customers of the so-called federal government of Nigeria. And what is a combatant? Combatant is what? Soldier. Definition. According to these guidelines, combatants are defined as those who endanger their lives and have been trained to engage in combat and to harm the enemy in operation or contract. That is on the actual battlefield. So who is the enemy? Biafrans are the enemy. Have you seen it? They are what? Combatants for the federal government of Nigeria. Combatants doing their contract in Biafra land. Who is the enemy? The enemy, we are the enemy. So all the whole military in Biafra land, all of them are going to vacate. And I'm going to show you how they are going to vacate. You see it? Operation Safe Corridor. But in the east is what? Operation Crocodile. Crocodile smile. Crocodile will smile. What is the definition of a crocodile? A large predatory semi-aquatic reptile with legs, jaws, long tails, short legs, and what? A honey-textured skin, using submission and state to approach prey unseen. The crocodile has been extremely hunted for its valuable skin. Meaning what? dangerous, predatory, carnivorous animal. That is what it is. You see it in the north. Hardened, hair-bound, brutal terrorists and criminals. They are called what? Clients. They are called what? Clients of the federal government of Nigeria. You see the operation of the engagement? Operation Safe What? Operation Safe Corridor. Lafia Do, Love Ran. But when it comes to the former Eastern region, it becomes what? Python Dance, Crocodile Smile. Only that alone is an impeachable offense against the so-called Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. This is a country that deploy aircraft, bombardment in an internal engagement, and warship against its own people in an in-house cleansing operation. Then it becomes Crocodile Smile, Python Dance, carnivorous animals, the serpentine. That is what we see here. I told you, as long as this candle, this edition, this candle is going to finish in this edition. As long as this candle is burning, Nigeria is burning irrecoverably. Let us see what will be the face of Nigeria after this particular edition that I'm presenting. So let's go back. You heard about the 16 Boko Haram commanders, and 16 Boko Haram commanders. Let me show you another report about it before we go down. It says military killed 35 terrorists, captured 16 Boko Haram commanders. That is the same 16 Boko Haram commanders before. Let me show you. I want you to see something about this particular, this particular news report. He said the Nigerian Air Force fighters aircraft have bombed about 35 Islamic State West African province terrorists at a location in Boka Mariam area by the Lake Chad in northern Borno State. This is just as troops of the Nigerian Army attacked the Operation Lafia Do. You see, I'm also Lafia Do. You see what I'm telling you? You see, I'm Lafia Do, sounding like Romeo and Juliet, Love Tango. I continue to report. This is just as troops of the Nigerian Army attacked to Operation Lafia Do, also arrested 16 Boko Haram commanders, that's the same one, in Poka, Goza local government area of the Borno State. That is the one they mentioned their names and also, continue. The military said on Tuesday that the arrested Boko Haram leaders included 2 suspects on the Army's wanted list. According to the Air Force, the 35 ISWAP terrorists were bombed on Monday after credible intelligence reports indicated that they used the Buka Mariam location to provide logistic support to the terrorists, using fishing activities as a cover. NAP Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commander Ilukunle Daromala, said in a release that the operation was executed by the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Do. He said, and I'm quoting him, in continuation of the sustained onslaught against terrorist elements in the northeast, the ATF has neutralized several ISWAP fighters on the fringe of the Lake Chad before the strike. Over 35 terrorists were observed within the area of interest. The attack aircraft subsequently engaged the location in successive passes, recording accurate hits on the target area, leading to the neutralization of several ISWAP fighters as well as the destruction of some of the structures. They never killed anyone with their aircraft. If they have killed, how did they catch up these ones alive? You see it? Speaking on the arrest of the 16 Boko Haram commanders, the Nigerian Army Operation Media Coordinator, Colonel Aminu Iliyasu, I told you he's in Biafra land, said the troops of 26 Task Force Brigade and 21 Special Armor Brigade captured the terrorist leaders on Sunday. Iliyasu, in a release, stated the operation led to the arrest of 16 active Boko Haram members. Preliminary investigation revealed that some of the arrested suspects participated in the heinous attack on Poka and Gwazo, including the barbaric execution of some Nigerian police personnel some time ago. Do you see the grievousness of the offense? 2 of the arrested Boko Haram criminals have been on the Nigerian Army Most Wanted Boko Haram list earlier published on Serial 41 and 90. The arrested suspects included Lawanga Liza and Bayaga Maniye. All these names. That's the end of the report. These are what names of various commanders that are leading the operation that is happening in the southeast. That is what they are saying. Now, since this news was published, this was in 2019. Since this news was published in 2019, have you heard anything about people that committed such a grievous offense? And this is a military that is what? That are imprisoning some of the Nigerian army personnel, have been sentenced to death. They have been court-martialed and sentenced to death for what? For not engaging in fight against the Boko Haram people. And these are the people who have slaughtered Nigerian army, made a lot of widows, made a lot of women widows. And then what happened? You don't hear anything about them. That is what troops, that is what combatants for the Nigerian army. There's nothing like all this surrendering. They're just giving you news. Nothing like bombardment, killing them with aircraft, nothing. They are just bringing them what? For fight against, the Biafra. That is what is happening here. And in case if you don't know, Obasanjo was the man with Bill Clinton. They were the people who founded Boko Haram. Before this one, they killed, Yusuf, borrowed the concept. I will still come to that. Obasanjo was in the guise of Operation Focus Relief. I will come to that. So let me read this one news report. I'm going down so that we can understand, the different, facets of what we are going to discuss later, so that I will show you, before I go to show you how all these things are aligned with the signal that was passed, through Nnamdi Kalu's media, so-called brokers. So let me show you. Say Boko Haram will continue for 15 years. If that is Obasanjo, this is in August 21, 2019. Let me give you a breakdown of the report. It said former President Olusegun Obasanjo has again expressed his disappointment over the continued existence of Boko Haram in the northern part of the country, stating that if the current government does not ensure that every child is in school, the military may, the militancy may linger till the next 15 years. He knows exactly what he's talking about. These are the controllers of the Boko Haram. Obasanjo shared the thought on Boko Haram while he was giving a speech at a youth program. It's always a youth program. Go and mark all of them. This youth program are what? The radicalized elements, of the treacherous out of, wipe out of the Biafran areas. I told you the Yorubas are cooperating with the, with the Fulanese and whatever they are doing. So Obasanjo shared his thought of Boko Haram while he was giving a speech at a youth program packaged by the Youth Development Center in Ogun State. He equally maintained that Nigerian population may reach around 450 million within the next 30 years, and that will prove disastrous if many children are left on the street without proper education. Obasanjo, he stated, I'm quoting him, there should be no Nigerian child that should be out of school for any reason. You have already got a Boko Haram in the next 15 years if you don't do anything about that. So, whatever you are talking about, unless you take care of inclusivity, you will not get there. Quality is important, but inclusivity much better. I want to stop this report here. I know why I pointed this thing out for you. Now, earlier we have seen the rehabilitated clients of the federal government. We saw two Chadians that were involved. I mean, there we have seen how Obasanjo said that Boko Haram will continue for the next 15 years if... Now, let us juxtapose, let us reconcile Obasanjo's statement, with the reality on the ground. When you see him talk like that, you think he's being prophetic. No, that is the reality on the ground. This is exactly how they carry out their plot. They plan ahead and then they code it like prophecy. That is what they do with all these mega pastors, Adiboye, Kumuyi, all of them that plotting Nnamdi Kanu and all that, religion and state merging together. That is how they do it. When they plot all these things, they code it as prophecy. And then when it's executed, the anachronistic nature of those things will not, you will not exactly know that it has been planned, You can't find any trace of it. And you think, okay, this prophet said it, this prophet said it. You don't know, these are the art of criminals. That is what they have been doing. That is how they have been fooling people. Now, let's reconcile. I want you to pay a very big attention to what I'm saying to you, because Biafrans don't know exactly where they are. They think it's a joke. They don't know where they are. Now, let me see. Obasanjo said 15 years, okay? Now, let's look at the reality of the ground. You said, concern mount over rising foreign funding for Boko Haram. This is what this day newspaper of October 17, 2019. I'm still reconciling this with the different faces of the laundered Boko Haram that they have laundered. We talk about ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and other. We read about them before. I'm showing you different faces. This one is what? This day, October 17, 2019. Concern mount over rising foreign funding for Boko Haram. Now, pay attention to this report. It said there are growing concern that the insurgency war in the northeast is being prolonged by massive external funding from fundamentalist groups and foreign nations. This day investigation has revealed. Former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo also added his voice to this concern Wednesday, saying foreign funding for Boko Haram has risen to 50%. However, in a bid to boost troops' morale, President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered service chiefs to take urgent steps to settle entitlement of soldiers affected by insurgency across the country, as well as the welfare packages designed for their dependents. Obasanjo's assertion came as top military sources expressed concern that the war against insurgency is prolonged by foreign funding and interference. Also, a group, National Democratic Front, that is NDF, has criticized the chairman Senate Committee on Army, Senator Ali Ndume, over his claim that 847 soldiers were killed by insurgents in the last 6 years. It is not in the last 6 years. They were killed in a single day and buried in cemeteries in the north. Atiku Abubakar confirmed it. Intelligence sources yesterday told this day that the possession of sophisticated weapons for insurgents, logistic and medical supplies by different terror groups shows signs of funding by foreign interests. A source told this day, we have seen this type of automatic weapon when they are dislodged or killed. These are not ordinary weapons. They are sophisticated machine guns and rifles, and sometimes they have marks. They have tanks that are not our tanks. We have seen weapons with numbers that show that they were not just sourced through the black market, but directly supplied by known arm manufacturers from particular countries. The sources stated that investigation has shown that some foreign-based non-governmental organizations are being used to supply food and medication in the guise of humanitarian acts. Quoting the document, physical and documentary evidence that indicated foreign funding for these people, insurgents, are everywhere, and those who should know are aware of it. Are you not aware that the ties between ISIS, ISWAP, and Boko Haram? Do you not know that ISIS is funded by some nations, and that is the same with this insurgency war? How do you even buy a single bullet as a non-state actor without significant funding? The source queried. In a video seen by this day, Obasanjo revealed that foreign funding for Boko Haram has reached 50% compared to 10 to 15% in 2011. I told you Obasanjo were the people who funded Boko Haram with Bill Clinton in the world in the guise of Operation Pukos Relief. That is what is it. It was formed to secure the Niger Delta. So even in this war that is coming, the first place they are going to take is Element River State and all that. So Wike should go and prepare for what is going to happen to him. So Obasanjo knows exactly what he's talking about. Continue with the report. He said, Obasanjo spoke at the President Woodrow Wilson Center in Washington on managing Nigerian diversity amidst rising ethno-religious tension. He said when he first inquired from intermediaries about Boko Haram's external support, he was informed that it was just about 10 to 15% as much of their funding was local then. However, upon recent inquiry, the former president said he was told external support for Boko Haram is now 50%. I hope you are hearing what I'm saying. You are hearing exactly what I'm saying. You see the link? Obasanjo would go militant, both him and Babangida and all of them. I'm calling for their head now. This is their final journey. They cannot escape it. He said, quoting Obasanjo, let me say this. The issue of Boko Haram is an internally generated issue. When I went to Maiduguri, I asked how much was Boko Haram externalized. And the man who was talking to me, the middleman between me and Boko Haram leadership. Do you understand? The middleman between Obasanjo and what? Boko Haram leadership. Who was out of the country, said maybe 10 to 15%. And I said, how do you know? He said he knew the leaders. They are not men of means, and that they are bringing in, they are not men of any means, and that they are bringing in some new weapons, and that somebody must be paying for those weapons, either Nigerians who have the resources or some external resources. 3 years ago, I asked the same man, how much is Boko Haram externalized? He said at least 50%. Now, if that is the case, we are in danger. Do you understand? Do you know who the middleman of Obasanjo is referring to here? Do you know who is the middleman? The middleman he's referring to is Ali Modu Sheriff, the former governor of Borno State. That is the man they are referring. That was what led to it. Bakassi Peninsula, that is it. Bakassi Peninsula was the interface between Obasanjo's deregulation of the downstream sector of the oil industry. And what? And the insistent kidnapping of white people in the, the turbulence you have in the Niger Delta region. That was what that was why Bakassi Peninsula was ceded to Cameroon. That was exactly what happened. That was exactly what happened. That is what they are saying here. This is what Ali Modu Sheriff, that is the man Obasanjo is referring to. That is the intermediary. Have you seen it? Continue with the report. It's a foreign interest in oil deposit around the Chad is also believed to be fueling the insurgency. A security source had told this day that some countries were scheming for the oil and funding insurgents as a way of mounting pressure on Nigeria in order to secure a stake. The same thing, mounting pressure on Nigeria in order to secure a stake, was the same reason why the Chibok girls were kidnapped. They were kidnapped by what? United Nations of Kofi Annan with what? Bill Clinton, Bill Clinton regime. These anti-Christ forces. They are the same people that did what? That plotted the 9/11 attack. They were the people that created Al-Qaeda and the Taliban in Afghanistan and all that. That was exactly what happened. Many people don't know the current president of America, Biden, was a co-accomplice in the kidnap of the Chibok girls. It's a co-accomplice. That is exactly what is happening. Was Biden not vice to the chief terrorist, Obama? When Obama was the president, the chief kidnapper of the Chibok girls, was he not the vice? They kidnapped the Chibok girls because in the border demarcation that they were doing with the United Nations and all that, they needed more territory of Nigeria. Obudu Cattle Ranch and all that, they needed a lot of those environs to be annexed with the Bakassi that they have stolen. That was not enough for them. So in order to compare the government of President Jonathan, they kidnapped the Chibok girls with the, with the belief that, trying to kidnap them so that they will help Jonathan to recover them. In exchange, the United Nations that were doing the boundary demarcation as of that particular time will give them those areas. That was what exactly happened. So when they kidnapped it, they decided, when they saw the weakness of Jonathan, they decided to use the same Boko Haram to chase Jonathan out of the office. Obasanjo proceeded from the kidnap from the setup of Bakassi, who was laundered through Mike Adenuga's Globacom. That was how Globacom came to be. Go and look at all the whole international contractors that work in Globacom. They are all the people that are connected, to the setup of Bakassi Peninsula. That's what happened. Most people don't know, this Biden himself. That Biden, when you're looking at him, you're looking at the face of death. But Americans don't know what is happening in Nigeria. It's already happening in America. They don't know that America is finished. Economically and everything, the fall of America is going to be total and final. That's what you don't know. You don't know that Biden signed agreement, this Biden administration, they signed agreement with the Taliban, the terrorist group that are called the Taliban, brutal terrorists, Taliban, with Obasanjo, all of them. They signed so that they can either overrun Afghanistan quickly, so that American soldiers will overrun Afghanistan, so that those Taliban will do what? Come and join the terrorists in Nigeria, so that they can free all those terrorists in Afghanistan, so that they will do what? They will come and face the Biafrans in Nigeria and slaughter all of them. That is, most things are, people don't even know what is happening. They don't know that they are finished. They think it's a joke. Go and look at all of them, those big systems, including Obasanjo and all of them. All of them are in an internal relationship with what? With the Taliban, with what is happening in Afghanistan. And very soon you see that Afghanistan, the Taliban will collapse the government that is there. That is exactly what happened. Why did America enter into Afghanistan to start with? They entered into Afghanistan, is it not because of the 9/11? And they said it was Bin Laden and all that. But later on, they said that Bin Laden was not responsible for the 9/11 attack. Who trained Bin Laden? Was it not Bill Clinton that trained Al-Qaeda and Taliban? Then what happened after every other thing? Destruction of a very peaceful country. What happened? They have ended up breeding more and more terrorists. Oh, because they can't do what? They cannot directly get involved to ship them to Nigeria. So they have to go through France, that Dracula, that Macron, that Dracula, that death, that vampire that lives on blood. They have to go through him and all that, and Obasanjo and all these people, so that they can be able to do what? So that they can be able to quickly overrun the government forces and shift their focus to Nigeria and what? And Biafra land. That is what's happening. Continue with the report. The source spoke again, the sources spoke against the backdrop of the recent announcement by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and NPC that it just discovered oil in the northeast. Which kind of oil? They are taking it by osmosis. That's what they are doing. The same way they will take our water by osmosis. All our stream will dry up. That is why they are still scheming for the water bill. Continue with the report. Said the source. If Nigeria starts its own exploration, it will be against French interests. The topography of the area where you have the crude oil deposit is tilted towards Nigerian side, and when Nigeria starts exploration, they will lose out. Some lecturers were taken to that. Some lecturers were taken to that area to conduct a survey, and on their way back, Boko Haram ambushed them and killed all of them. It was the federal government of Nigerian agency that gave Boko Haram information for those people to be wiped out. That is exactly what they did, so that the lecturers cannot come back to reveal, the obvious lie that it was discovered. That was exactly why they were killed. Just the same thing that happened, in the so-called border demarcation of the United Nations boundary demarcation between Nigeria and Cameroon, and Cross River. They say that one beacon was missing. And you know why? Because I told you they are connected to the kidnap of the Chibok girls. They kidnapped the Chibok girls in order to do what? In order to embarrass, to cause international embarrassment to the government of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. That was exactly what happened. So after causing that international embarrassment, which they know will ridicule the government, and the government will be very much in a desperate situation to rectify the whole situation and all that, then they will now turn back to to be as a kind of first responders that will come to help Jonathan to recover the girls. Then in exchange, Jonathan will now allow the boundary demarcation to go as they intended by annexing the other neighboring environs, Budukapu Ranch and all that. That was exactly what happened, as I told you. I told you that Boko Haram was founded. Yusuf Boko Haram that was founded in 2002 was not the original Boko Haram, as I told you. The original Boko Haram was founded by Bill Clinton and Obasanjo in 1999 to 2000. during the so-called Operation Focus Relief, you know, that the headquarters was based in Maiduguri. So what Yusuf did was actually to just borrow that concept, you know, and replicate it in his own so-called Boko Haram, which he founded in 2002. That was exactly what evidence that they created ISIS. I'm quoting John Kerry. And terrorists inspired by Daesh have carried, end of quote. My translation means that Daesh, they must be inspired and replicate what ISIS did in Iraq by their seizure and control of the area called Daesh in Iraq, which clearly shows that they created ISIS. These are people that were creating caliphates in all those places. Very important. The whole group, not limited to those mentioned above, this is what I translated it to be in 2016. The whole group, not limited to those mentioned above, are to be encouraged and improve on the success of others they will hear about and make their own operation far more better, far more vicious, far more terrible and horrendous than the ones already reported about in the various areas of operation, especially in the southeast, south-south, Benue Plateau, and other places. This was in 2016. Go and check it. Yeah, they're not the very hot spot of hostility today. The various Boko Haram commanders involved in the war are to seize Biafra towns and villages and control them as ISIS did at Daesh in Iraq, even as Boko Haram did in the northeast from where they were relocated to Biafra land. As those living in the core north and southwest will be taken care of in those states by the local Boko Haram that will block all exit routes and embark on house-to-house massacre of Biafrans in their domain. That is exactly the message of Barack Obama to terrorist groups against Christians in Nigeria, delivered through American Secretary of State John Kerry. This was what in 2016, that was when I quoted this particular term. So this particular one I'm reading that was written in 2016 was what it was drafted by John Kerry, John Brennan, the CIA director, James Comey, Hillary Clinton, you know, and all these CIA operators out of that particular time. Those were the people that drafted it, this particular speech, this coded signal. Those were the people that drafted it in 2016. Now they were to carry it in carry this jihad out in 2016, as I told you, but because of the sudden triumph of President Trump in the poll, that was what halted this particular thing, because he was an outsider. Not because he is human, no, not something like that. The same party are in power today, and they have reenacted this thing in the same exactitude, and they are still carrying this thing carrying this order as of today. So we are going to see the reenactment, the exact reenactment of this particular thing that they did in 2016, and how they have deployed all these particular troops and gave them order through Nnamdi Kalu's broadcast, which is what we are going to see today. And you remember the 16 captured Boko Haram that they said, you know, they said there are 2 of them are in their wanted list. And they said that these are Boko Haram fighters, active fighters, according to them, that took part in killing of soldiers, you know, demobilization of soldiers and all that, attacking army barracks and all that. Very active Boko Haram. Now ask yourself, it took Boko Haram, Chicago, only one commander. Nigerian army were not able to get Chicago since 2009 till today. They couldn't get Chicago. Now look at it. When their leader was killed, Chicago became a phantom phenomenon. But they were able to capture what? 16 Boko Haram commanders, active, hardened, fire-tested, you know, battle-tested commanders. They were able to gather the 16 at the same time. Don't you marvel at what is happening? 16 active Boko Haram commanders captured, you know, captured without a whimper. Can you imagine? That one don't know. The intention, the actual game plan of Nnamdi Kanu Airport was to do what? To deliver the Biafrans, you know, without any shade of resistance. Deliver them like a rat that are being caught, you know, in a trap. Deliver them to his white masters, Yoruba, and the Fulani is working for, without any resistance for them to be slaughtered. That is exactly the work. That is exactly his assignment. So the speech, as I told you, the one I told you, I've told you the people that wrote those ones. This one now is the enactment of that particular thing that was done in 2016. how they reassembled it and they are passing it. And this one now I'm going to read to you was written by John Campbell, foreign relations, American foreign relations, Those are the people that they are the executioners. They were the executioners of terrorists that execute all these people that you see in Africa and all that. Hardened terrorists. They are the people that do what they are the people that are writing this thing. Now you see how they did it. This is what, let us go back to Nnamdi Kalu's broadcast. Not only this, let us go to the broadcast of Sunday, 16th of May, 2021. That is where you get exactly this thing we are reading now. His broadcast of Sunday, the 16th of May, 2021. And very soon, all these Nnamdi Kalu things, in YouTube, and they are going to delete all of them. Already they are passed instruction that Twitter should go and the Nigerian government should go and buy shares inside Twitter. I will show you. But let us go to this one so that you will see exactly what is happening. If you like, interrogate fast. If you don't like, go there and write rubbish and start to curse me and all that. But we are a generation that are going far, 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 far away from your ancestral home, never ever to come back again. So anything you are writing, you are just talking rubbish. You don't split second, you are gone. What Americans want to do in 3 years, they have already executed you. They have already killed all of you. It's just like Jesus Christ in his mercy is resurrecting you through me. That's exactly what is happening. 3 years ago, they have already, what they want to do in 3 years' time, Americans have already done it today. That is what they do. They have already finished you. You're already gone. So by the time the art is done, the anachronistic nature of the particular art they will be doing today, you cannot find any evidence because it has been executed in the past. That is exactly what happened now. You are going to see. Jesus just resurrected you through me. You're already gone. You are finished. Now, let's go to Nnamdi Kalu's broadcast. I will play it for you to hear. Just oppose it with, the things we have been going through, that I have been showing you. You hear from his mouth. I will show you, starting from the foundation he laid to how he delivered his signal, And this is of what consequences. Biafrans that are sleeping should have to wake up, especially the legal gurus who will prosecute America for all these things that they are doing. All the whole world leaders with conscience should wake up and see exactly what America is doing. This is the hardcore plot of American espionage that I'm breaking the backbone. You are going to say it. Hear from Nnamdi Kalu himself, Really write nonsense and start to curse me because write all your nonsense, abuse me as you like. Death is staring you in the face. You are going far, 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 far away from your ancestral land. There's no alternative. Nothing saves you. You abuse me as you like. Don't interrogate fast, But, truth is simple. Only lies are complicated. Continue to dance, You are going to see what is going to happen. You think it's a joke. Let me play in on the Kalu's tape. Hear from your mouth. Hear from your mouth. That news exactly what is happening, So don't worry yourself. We are going to use Nnamdi Kalu and prove our case against the federal government, You don't worry about it. You see what is going to happen. You see what is going to happen. What I'm doing for you, $50 billion cannot do it for you, but you don't know, you don't understand, because it comes very easy. They say they are restoring Biafra. If you are restoring Biafra, you should be the busiest person on earth today. You don't know what it takes, Every day they go there, they are mounting up, they are broadcasting, harvesting the sum total of your effort. That's what they do, they don't pronounce it. You don't know the hard work that it takes to prepare what you are doing. I think it's a simple thing. Restoring Biafra, you must be the busiest person in this particular earth. Well, let me just play the tape for you. Let me start. He's laying his foundation. This is his Sunday broadcast of 16 May 2021. Not only this, all the signals to clear you away, everything has all been recorded very, very well. Past the other, they have already implemented most of them. So what they do is anytime it is time to implement anyone, they play it in their radio. That's what they do. That is why you see them repeating all Nnamdi Kalu's broadcasts. So first step for you to go to is to stop Nnamdi Kalu from broadcasting and in fact close down Radio Biafra. That is the best way because you don't know there is through there they are passing out their they have configured it to translate in languages, every language. to their passing information, through their community radio, to all this London, to Boko Haram, all everywhere, all over Biafra, all over Nigeria. So once Radio Biafra is broadcasting, they are hearing you. So let me see Nnamdi Kanu laying the foundation for today.
That in time to come, that the Janjaweed will come into our land. And they have come. The funny thing is that they did not just come into our land, they're also in Yoruba land as we speak. And I'm sure that the revelations I have to make this evening, the zoo will be astonished. I'm even sure that the British intelligence services do not have what we have in our possession this very evening. And I'm sure that the Fulani Janjaweed who are in control of Abubakar Yusuf Mohammed, the idiot from Niger Republic wearing Buhari mask, do not even know what I'm talking about. But this evening, the zoo will be shocked to understand that there is nothing they do, there is no move they make that we are not aware of. But first of all, I'm going to start with an article that I saw in one of the online newspapers in the zoo. It's from Naira Reporters, and I was absolutely astonished when I saw it because I didn't quite believe that they were capable of publishing such material. We are living in very strange times, I can assure you. I never believed that they are capable of publishing this, but I'm going to read it for you by way of a preamble to build the foundation upon which our discourse this evening is going to rest. That is why I said I'm going to speak very slowly, so that you can understand every single word, every single syllable that I pronounce, because this very broadcast will not be like any other, I assure you. Your pen and paper must be very close to you. And I want you to understand as soon as we finish this very program, I want it to be put on MP3 and distributed all over the world as you normally do. I want it on SoundCloud. I want this very program this evening to go viral. Why this could be your morning or your afternoon, but from where I am this evening. So you must allow me or excuse me when I make reference to the time that we are in, which is evening, here that I am at this precise moment. This article, the headline is Stop Calling Eastern Security Network a Terrorist Group by Adebayo Raphael, published by Naira Account.
Let me try to, voice out exactly what Nnamdi Kanu said. You are a human being. Go and Google it. I told you the broadcast was made on what? 16th of May 2021. I'm providing evidence that we are going to use against both federal government of Nigeria and against American government with France and British government. Look at what Nnamdi Kanu said very fastly, He said that in time to come, the Janjaweed will come into our land, and they have come. The same is that they did not come into our land. The same is that they did not only come into our land, they are also in Yoruba land as we speak. I am sure that the revelation I have to make this evening, the zoo will be astonished. I am even sure that the zoo intelligence officers do not have what we have in our possession this very evening. I told you they are controlled from outside. You say the zoo intelligence officers do not have what they have this evening. Go and listen to it. And I am sure the Fulani Janjaweed who are in charge of Abubakar Yusuf Mohammed, that is the man they call Buhari. I said they are using Nnamdi Kanu to correct him, but that we are going to use Nnamdi Kanu to prove that Buhari is dead. Don't worry. I'm sure that the Fulani Janjaweed who are in charge of Abubakar Yusuf Mohammed, the idiot from Niger Republic wearing Buhari mask, do not even know what I am talking about. But this evening, the zoo will be shocked that there is nothing they do, there is no move they make that we are not aware of. But first of all, I am going to start with an article I saw in one of these online newspapers in the zoo. It is from Sahara Reporters. I told you Sahara Reporters, New York. That is their blackboard. It is there they set what they will use to do what that will rhyme with what Nnamdi Kanu will preach. The signal he will pass. Then they will be saying his prophecy. That's exactly what happened. So they put in Sahara Reporters is what they are doing now. Look at it. Sahara reporters. And I was absolutely astonished when I saw it because I didn't quite believe they were capable of publishing such a material. We are living in very strange times, that I can tell you. I never believed they are capable of publishing this. I am going to read it for you as a word of a preamble to build a foundation upon which our discussion this evening is going to rest. And that's exactly, I told you, Sahara reporters are just their blackboard, you know, they will use and do what, write what is going to. That's exactly. So all those news are planted news, you know, from the foreign relations, John Campbell, you know, the senior whatever, you know, the senior career officer there. You know, he says the senior fellow for Africa Policy Research at the Council on Foreign Relations. You know, a career foreign service officer or something like that, you know. So that's it. Continuing. That is why I said I'm going to speak very slowly so that you can understand every single word, every single syllable that I pronounce, because these very brokers will not be like any other, I tell you. He's telling the judge that he's going to speak very slowly so that they will instantly understand the message, coded message that is passing. Ask yourself, other than the Kalu broadcast, you know, is there anything with Biafra restoration in perspective? He's always telling you miracles and parables and all those jargons, you know. You don't know you're going, you know. So he said, what? I'm quoting him. That's why I said I'm going to speak very slowly so you can understand every single word, every single syllable that I pronounce, because these very brokers will not be like any other. I tell you, their pen and paper must be very close to you, and I want Uche Chukwu to understand that as soon as we finish this program, I want it to be broadcast on every platform all over the world. I want an arm flag. I want this very broadcast to go far and wide. It could be a morning or afternoon, but where I am, it is evening. You must allow me or excuse me when I make reference to the time we are in this evening. This article, the headline is "Stop Calling Eastern Security Network a Terrorist Group" by Adebayo Raphael, published by Sahara Reporters. That's what he said, you know. We are still continuing, you know, hear it, you know, it may not be audible enough, but you have to go and Google, get that speech and hear it by yourself. I'm only playing it so that you will understand exactly that is his voice that you're hearing, you know. It seems that made it broker, because if I start to read my transcript, you think I made it up, you'll not understand. So it's important to hear direct from him.
Is the security network a terrorist group? And why are they trying to do that? Why do you think they want to target ESN terrorist group? Not Fulani bandits, no, not Mietiala, not at all. Not those killing, raping, pillaging, and sacking towns and villages. Not at all. Not those that have renamed some villages in Benue State into Fulani names. No, they're not terrorists. It's ESN. Why? Ask yourself that simple question. Because Eastern Security Network is on record as being the only people to drive away Mietiala from any state in the entire Nigeria. We drove Mietiala away from Ebonyi State after 4 years of war. 4 good years of war, they ran away from Ebonyi State. That is why they have now gone to go and bring in their big guns, their big brothers. But we're going to face them and we shall defeat them. Mietiala was in Ebonyi State as a fully fledged, functioning, Fulani-sponsored terror group. Even your so-called presidency said in the public that they are legitimate stakeholders in the government. In other words, what is happening in Nigeria today is an organized Fulani banditry. Some of you in the South are too stupid. You are too useless. You are too hopeless. You are too idiotic to see what Fulanis are doing. But it's meant to happen. Because before I came on air this evening, I had confirmation that they are now in Lagos. That was what they were trying to cleverly disguise as IPOB attack on Lagos. I want to let you know what Fulanis are doing, but it's meant to happen. Because before I came on air this evening, I had confirmation that they are now in Lagos. That was what they were trying to cleverly disguise as IPOB attack on Lagos. I want to let you understand, if If I tell you the terror group in Lagos, you will marvel. But we know we have their intel, and I'm going to give it to you as we proceed. They are trying to get you to tag ESN the terrorist group. Why? Because we defeated Nigeria in the East. We rendered them useless. It was because of the work that Eastern Security did in the past, is doing now.
Did you hear what he said? Let me tell you what he said. He said to tag Eastern Security Network a terrorist group. And why are they trying to do that? Why do you think that they want to tag ESN a terrorist group? Not Fulani bandits, not Mietiala, not at all. Not those killing, raping villages and second towns and villages. Not at all. Not those that have renamed some villages in Benue State into Fulani names. No, they are not terrorists. ESN. Why? Because Eastern Security Network is on record as being the only people to drive Mieti Allah from any state in the entire Nigeria. Very important to understand. We dropped Mieti Allah from Ebonyi State after 4 years of war, 4 good years of war. They ran away from Ebonyi State. That is why they have now gone to bring in their big guns, their big brother. But we are going to face them and we shall defeat them. Let me just put a little here. Do you hear what Barale Rebosa said, that when the killing is done, you cannot trace it to any local? That's what I told you before in my transcript. You know why he's saying that they drove Mieti Allah away from Ebonyi State and brother? You know why he's saying it? Why he's saying it is to remove Fulani from any blame of any slaughter that will happen in Biafra land. That's why he's saying this. Go look at Ebonyi. The whole of Ebonyi is surrounded by Fulani herdsmen, but he wants to exonerate them. Even an accomplice with their governor, that is Dave Omahi. So that when this massive slaughter will happen, they can't even trace it to these local Fulani people that are sitting here. You will stay. They bam, they will go. No blame, because already Nnamdi Kanu and the governor have exonerated the Fulani herdsmen by saying that they drove them away from Ebonyi State, which is a blatant lie. That's exactly what is happening. So continuing, he said, Mieti Allah was in Ebonyi State as a fully fledged, functioning, sponsored Fulani terror group. Even your so-called president said in public that they are legitimate stakeholders in government. In other words, what is happening in Nigeria today is an organized Fulani banditry, but some of you in the south are still very stupid. You are still very useless. You are still hopeless. You are still idiotic to understand, to see what is happening or what is going to happen to you, and it is going to happen. And it is going to happen because before I came on air this evening, I heard that they are now in Lagos. Listen very well. Before I came on air this evening, I heard that they are already in Lagos, and that was what they are trying to play very disguisedly. IPOP attack on Lagos. I want to let you understand, if I tell you the terror group in Lagos, you will marvel. They all know we have their intel, and we're gonna give it to you this evening. They are trying to get you tag ESN a terrorist group. Why? Because we defeated Mieti Allah. You tag ESN a terrorist group. Why? Because we defeated Mieti Allah. We rendered them useless. It's because of the work that Eastern Security Network did in the past. Is doing now. It's very, very important, you know. I want you to note, bear it in mind what he said. If I tell you the terror group in Lagos, you will marvel. I want you to hold it as a key. He will never tell them. He will be beaten around the bush. You understand me? Because it is a signal. It is an order that must be obeyed. He's assigning them. He's giving them their own assignment that they are going to fulfill. I want you to hold it. Very, very important. As I said before, you know, as this candle is burning, this candle is going to finish in this edition. It is on the altar of this candle that I burn Nigerian flag. And we are going to see what actually is going to happen by the time this candle finishes, which is going to be in this particular edition. And the Nigerian government, they are well aware, they are well aware that I've borne the Nigerian flag in this particular place. As I told you at the earlier editions, that we are going to do what? We are going to cause a schism, that we cause a schism, in the anatomy of the body politics of the Nigerian nation. And that we are going to do what? We are going to march Nigeria into the subduction of this earth cross and build a hanging ladder, throw it down and do what? And climb out of that schism. That is what we are going to do, and that is how we are going to escape it. Why am I saying this? Because you see, they will never mention me. Both the IPOP group and the Western allies and the European allies, they will never mention me. But I am the most dangerous and the most wanted enemy they seek to destroy. They know that the day they mention me, they have their own finished. That even reminds me, let me do a little bit of digression. Let me take you to the scripture. There's one scripture I want to read, and that is in Mark. Let us read Mark chapter 12, from 13 to 17. Now, the question of tribute to Caesar. And they said unto him, certain of the Pharisees and of the Herodians, to catch him in his ways. And when they were come, they said unto him, Master, we know that thou art true, and carest for no man. For thou regardest not the person of men, but teachest the way of God in truth. Is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar or not? Shall we give, or shall we not give? But he, knowing their hypocrisy, said unto them, Why tempt ye me? Bring me a penny, that I may see it. That Jesus said. And they brought it, and he said unto them, Whose is this image and superscription? And they said unto him, Caesar's. And Jesus answered said unto them, Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. And they marveled at him. I read the scripture. Look at it. Our Lord Jesus Christ mentions Caesar here. All over European literatures and everywhere in place, they acknowledge that Caesar existed. But they tell you that Jesus did not exist. You see it? Because they know what? They know that the day they mention our Lord Jesus Christ, their own is gone. That is exactly what is happening. So they will do as if I don't exist, until they stop remove me and eliminate me, so that we not know the importance of the role that I'm playing. That's exactly what happens. I'm not caring for man's honor. I'm sent to do this job by God. So let us continue with this thing the Kali speed that we are decoding. They will tell you Nigeria will not disintegrate. For you to know that for sure that God has sent me, no power on this earth, no power in this earth, no prophet, no preacher, all these criminals can be able to preach out Nigeria out of the destruction that is set for it. The giant of Africa, it has suddenly become a white dwarf that is said to blow itself back to pieces. By what? By the embedded bomb of corruption planted on his body. By what? By the leaders themselves. You have watched it. Nothing. After this edition, let's see. The 15th edition, let us see what exactly is going to happen. Nigeria is gone and gone forever. This is one thing that we used to know, that for sure God has sent me. I told you to watch, like in the past editions, as I was saying before, like I told you, this one is written by John Campbell for the execution. And the one that they wrote, in 2016, these same people, letter by Abanawi to Shekau, while we left, they detailed how they will keep prominent people like Babangida, them, Atiku Abubakar, all this Abubakar Salami, Babangida, Goodluck, Jonathan, and their wife. We will still come to that. But they did not mention how they will clear giants in the southwest, like Obasanjo and Tinubu. So in this side, you are going to see how they mention how they are going to clear them. So watch out now. Nnamdi Kanu was talking about, if I tell you the terror group in Lagos, he cleverly avoided mentioning it. Just watch it. Just watch and see what happened. Because he must, I told you, in every signal that must be obeyed, Zik and Ahmad Bello must be mentioned for them to understand that it is a signal. So he didn't mention it immediately. He just trying to deceive the people by beating about the bush, then suddenly he will come to mention it and all that. Then you will now link it with those different phases of the Boko Haram they have laundered that we mentioned earlier. So you will hear him, just hear him. Hear him. Just hear from Namdekawe. Let's continue.
You people have placed our lives in danger. Because of you, that is why all these killings are going on all over the place by the Fulani. Because of you, those of them in the West, like Tinubu, Obasanjo, and all the rest of the fools over there. Because of you, that is why this evening, as I'm right here on air preaching, Yoruba people are paying ransom to go to their farms, to that farm in Yoruba. The media will not report it. The same way they will not report how many soldiers they have lost so far. That is their new game plan. But in Biafra land, they will keep dying. That I assure them. Kidnap all you like, intimidate all you like, oppress all you like. But let me tell you something you don't quite understand. We are involved in a nationalist pursuit. We are pursuing the freedom of our land, and it can never stop. I want Fulani to understand this very clearly. Understand it very, very clearly. We are not going to stop. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. If you have come to our land to kill us, you are going to die there. That I can assure you. I am not perturbed by the tag of terrorism, by the tag of you're proscribed, the proscribed, outlawed IPOB, a human being in Nigeria who is suffering, a journalist who is suffering, a media house that understands the pain, the suffering, the anguish, the torment that the people are going through every day is starting this junk on a daily basis. And the Fulani Janja they're all going to find you. They will find you. Do you know that people are being kidnapped in Aba by the Nigerian army sent to Sokoto? They are now demanding ransom. A man paid 6 million naira only 4 days ago to have the wife, his second wife, released to him that was taken to Sokoto. Are you sure you people don't actually understand what is happening around you? We are in a state of war. They've not declared it, but we are in a state of war. Nelson Mandela was called a terrorist. Yes, Nelson Mandela. Go and do your research because everything I tell you is gospel. Nelson.
I can't get his voice loud enough, so I have to play his voice, then I have to, after playing his voice, I read it out for you so that you can be able to follow exactly to know where we're going. He said, you people have placed our life in danger. Because of you, that's why all these killings are going on all over the place by the Fulani. Because of you. Those of them in the West like Tinubu, Obasanjo, and the rest of the fools over there. Because of you, that's why this evening, as I am right here on air preaching, Yoruba people are paying ransom to go to their farms, to go and farm in Yoruba land. The media will not report it the same way they will not report how many states, how many soldiers they have lost so far. That is their new game plan. But in Biafra land, they adopt people. Kidnap all you like, you can rape all you like, kill all you like, but let me tell you something you don't quite understand. We are involved in nationalistic pursuit. We are pursuing the freedom of our land, and it can never stop. I want Fulani to understand it very clear. Understand it very, very clearly. We are not going to stop. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. You have come to our land to kill us. You are going to die there. I can assure you. I am not surprised by the tag of terrorists, by the tag of proscribed, outlaw, IPOP, and all sort of nonsense. A human being in Nigeria who is suffering, a journalist who is talking, a media house that understands the danger, the suffering, the anger, and the torment that people are going through every day is fighting this junk on a daily basis, and the Fulani Janjaweed, they are all going to find you. They will find you. Do you know that people are being kidnapped in Aba by the Nigerian soldiers and sent to Sokoto? They are now demanding ransom. A man paid 50 million naira only 4 days ago to have the wife, the second wife, released to him that was taken to Sokoto. Are you sure you people clearly understand what is happening around you? We are in a state of war. They did not declare it, but we are in a state of war. Nelson Mandela was called a terrorist. Go and do your research, because anything I tell you is gospel. Now, he told you a man was kidnapped to Aba and all that, and taken to Sokoto and all that. Biafrans don't even know what is confronting them. I told you about the different terror, the faces of Boko Haram and the different London jihadists, both the ones that we kidnap and all that. Remember the division of the kingdom of Israel, the northern kingdom with 10 tribes and the kingdom of Judea, after Rehoboam and Jeroboam divisions and all that. You remember how the Assyrians overran the northern kingdom, took them away. And then King Nebuchadnezzar came and took away the people of Judah, and all of them were into Israel and all that. That is exactly where Biafrans are. This is where you are today. Remember the song they sang? By the rivers of Babylon, Yahweh sat down, and there we went, when we remember Zion. Remember it? Cause the wicked carried us away, captivity require from us a song. Now how can we sing enough a song in a strange land? That is the fate that is defeating Biafra. When I give you solution, you don't follow it. All of you are going to be taken away. So because of time, I have to read this thing so that you will hear it. If not, it's time consuming. But you follow. He said where we stopped. He said Nelson Mandela was called a terrorist. Am I correct? Yeah, his voice again.
We are going through a very difficult time, aided and abetted by the likes of the Sarikin Fulani, of the likes of Ojus or Kalum. I'm sure by now that Rochas have repented. He has asked this, in fact, his eyes are open. All the fulefus talking about one Nigeria is now very clear to all of you that the Fulanis do not mean well. Not for us who are fighting them, neither for you who are their slaves. If Nelson Mandela can be called a terrorist, who am I? Oliver Cromwell was a terrorist. George Washington was a terrorist. Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe was a terrorist. Even, let me shock you, all of you now. Some of you may have heard about a man called Dr. Zikiwe. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe is his name. I had to add Nnamdi to his name because he doesn't behave like one. Do you know that Dr. Zikiwe was called a terrorist and exiled to Ghana? Are you aware of that? Do you know who called him a terrorist? The same Britain, United Kingdom. Are you aware of that? Dr. Zikiwe, that fought and set Nigeria free. Do you know he was sent to jail by the British? Do you know that Ahmadu Bello never went to jail? Do you know that Abubakar Tafawa Balewa never went to jail? The only people that went to jail are those from the south. Awolowo and Azikiwe are the only people that went to jail in order to set Nigeria free. Are you aware? Marylanders are feeling.
You see, I still have to repeat what he said so that you people will have to follow up. You see, since when he mentioned that if I tell you the terror group that operating in Lagos will marvel, he have not mentioned it. He's still laying background. Don't ever be deceived. I told you the work of Satan in heaven was what? Anointed cherub that covered it. It was covering God. That is what they still do. Anything we do, they simulate it in order to deceive you not to hear the voice of God. When I started playing to show you the enactment of the Bible, all of them are into Bible. As I'm interpreting this thing to you now, all of them are beginning to interpret, in order to do what? To throw you away from the voice of God that is talking to you so that you be deceived. I'm drawing your ear. Hear me, O people of God. My message is not for everybody. The Bible tells you that wherever the ego is, the carcass will do what? This is the message of the carcass, the ego is here so that you be saved. Now let me repeat what he said. I'm still coming, still building a foundation. You see how he came in. He said, we are going through a very difficult time. A very difficult time. And abetted by the lives of the Salakin Fulani, the lives of Ojus Okalo, and I'm sure by now Rocha Sokorocha has repented. All these things are signals. All these people will be eliminated. He's giving them signal. These people, you hear the gang operating in Lagos, Anything I tell you, weigh it with what is happening on the ground already. And where the situation, where is their plan to get Biafra? It's only when we move the 4 winds that they are using to disturb you people, things start happening. Watch it after this release of this one and see what will be happening. You see, he has repented. Efulefu is talking about one Nigeria. It is not very clearly that the Fulani does not mean well for you, not for us who are fighting them, neither for you who are their slaves. If Nelson Mandela could be called a terrorist, who am I? Oliver Cromwell was a terrorist. George Washington was a terrorist. Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe was a terrorist. Even let me shock all of you now. Some of you may have heard about a man called Dr. Azikiwe, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. I hate to add his name. I hate to add Nnamdi to his name because he doesn't behave like one. Do you know that Dr. Azikiwe was called a terrorist and exiled to Ghana? Dr. Azikiwe, our forefather, please forgive. Forgive for the likes of me. Forgive. Forgive in the name of Jesus. May your soul rest in peace. Don't worry yourself. You see, have you seen how he brought Azikiwe in? He had to add Nnamdi to his name because he doesn't behave like no one. Okay. You know that Dr. Azikiwe was called a terrorist and exiled to Ghana. Do you know who called him a terrorist? The same Britain, the United Kingdom. Are you aware of that? Dr. Azikiwe that fought to set Nigeria free. Do you know that he was sent to jail by the British? Do you know that Ahmadu Bello never went to jail? You see it? Zik and Ahmadu Bello. By the time we get to decoding John Kerry's speech, you will see why they always mention Zik and Ahmadu Bello. You see him? By the British. Do you know that Ahmadu Bello never went to jail? Do you know that Tafawa Balewa never went to jail? The only people that went to jail are those from the south. Azikiwe and Awolowo are the only people that went to jail in order to set Nigeria free. Are you aware of it? Now wait, let's continue. You hear his voice more.
Yes, Nnamdi Azikiwe was called a terrorist by the British. You must listen to me attentively. I said this program cannot be like any other. You must listen attentively this evening, please. And invite people to come and listen as well. Nnamdi Azikiwe was called a terrorist by the British. Chief Obafemi Awolowo was not spared. Chief Obafemi Awolowo was called a terrorist as well for trying to set people free. I want IPOB to know tonight that being called a terrorist because
I hope you are following the exact progression. We are leading you to something. That's why it's time consuming, but I'm leading you to somewhere. Look at what he said. He said what? Yes, Nnamdi Azikiwe was called a terrorist by the British. You must listen to me attentively. Have you seen where he started? Now he will start to throw the bombs. He's telling them, he's giving them the signal now. He's telling them, he's coming and you have laid the foundation. He said what? You must listen to me very attentively. I said this program must not be like any other. He have mentioned Zik and others, so they must have to listen to him attentively. You must listen attentively this evening and invite people to come and listen. And invite people to come and listen as well. Nnamdi Azikiwe was called a terrorist by the British. Chief Obafemi Awolowo was not spared. Chief Obafemi Awolowo was called a terrorist as well for trying to set people free. I want IPOB to know tonight that being called a terrorist, you know, that means now you have seen the foundation, Zik and everything. Now watching Nnamdi, the main purpose of the program, of his broadcast have now started. Watch him start throwing the bomb. Hear him by yourself. You understand me? All these things, you know, you Google it by yourself because your life is dependent on it. Hear him by yourself.
the world knows we are not terrorists. We have not gone to markets to bomb people. We have not gone to mosques to bomb people. We have not been to churches to kill people. We have not killed anybody, as a matter of fact. What ESN is doing is driving away Fulani terrorists in our forests. How can that make us a terrorist? By pursuing terrorists. How is that possible? How is that possible? Now pay attention to what I have to say. Do you remember those police they sent to Somalia? And I want people in Lagos to confirm this. I want my Yoruba brothers and sisters to confirm this, please, tonight and tomorrow morning. Do you know those police people they sent to Somalia? Ask yourself, why would any sensible country in the world send their police to Somalia? Is that possible? Do you know what they went to Somalia to do? I think that the Nigerian government will be shocked tonight that we have this intel. And I want to let them understand that the M branch of this very movement of IPOB to restore Biafra, our M branch is far more resourceful than any other organization in the whole. There is no move they make we don't know. We know how many tanks they are bringing. We know how many soldiers they are bringing. We know the type of armaments they are bringing. Everything we know. Ask the National Security Advisor of Nigeria. Ask their head of National Military Intelligence in Nigeria. Ask all the so-called big wigs of intelligence in Nigeria. And also ask the British, why did Nigeria send the so-called policemen to Somalia to go and train people? Do you know what they went to Somalia to do? They went to go and recruit Al-Shabaab, terrorist operatives, to come to Nigeria to help them fight this war. That was why they went to Somalia. I'm sure this night they will be shocked how we knew this information. They went to Somalia. There is no country in the world after the debacle of U.S. rescue mission, Operation Hope, under George Bush Sr. No country in the world has ever dared to send their people into Mogadishu. Only Nigeria. Why? To go and recruit the very deadly Al-Shabaab terror group to come and fight for them. Remember the intel all over the place. America gave you intel a few weeks ago. I also have the latest one they gave today. When America said that terrorists are now moving south, I want to let the whole world understand. I want Tinubu to understand that even you are Fanja, you're not safe. These are the people who are surrounding Lagos today. They are the ones in the forests of Yoruba land. Their leaders have come. The Nigerian government, the Fulani Caliphate government, sent their hardened men to Somalia to go and recruit Al-Shabaab terror group because they do not have the numbers to fight in the south. So they are complementing it with terrorists they are now recruiting across the Sahel, but most importantly, Al-Shabaab in Somalia. That was why they went to Somalia. Have you had any updates since they went to Somalia? Have they tried to show you anybody they have recruited? But most importantly, Al-Shabaab in Somalia. That was why they went to Somalia. Have you had any updates since they went to Somalia? Have they tried to show you anybody they have recruited from Somalia or how they're helping the Somali government? Have they done so? They says no, because their motive there is sinister. They went there to go and recruit Al-Shabaab terrorists to come to kill all of you, shouting one Nigeria with green, white, green flag. You know, sometimes I think that Elohim in heaven is maybe trying to hold us back to unleash this thing from the Fulani so that all the Fulefus will die in misery and in regret. That was why they went to Somalia to go and recruit Al-Shabaab to come to fight for them. And this Al-Shabaab, they are the ones who are in Lagos, planning to attack Lagos. They didn't told the police commissioner to say it's IPOB. Are you following what I'm saying? Ask your black people, why did God make me a black person? I don't understand. Why people cannot reason. Let me ask you again. Ever since their police went to Somalia, it is a foreign expeditionary mission. How come there is no update? How many Somalis they have trained? Have you ever, train of a black man, have you ever wondered why you don't hear anything about that? For the very simple reason that they went to recruit terrorists, Al-Shabaab, and they are the ones now in and around Lagos, planning to launch multiple attacks in Lagos. And a human being, somebody that claims he has conscience, woke up in the morning and decided to blame IPOB for it. When Tinubu knows that those who are in the bushes and forests in and around Lagos are Al-Shabaab, hardened Somali terrorists all the way from Mogadishu that they brought in. just read it. His name is Adebayo Raphael. If they say to you in this life that Yoruba people will rise up to write glowingly in defense of IPOB, you will not believe it. But it is here very clear in black and white. Al-Shabaab is in around Lagos because Fulani knows they don't have the numbers. They cannot win this war. Nigeria has never won any war on its own before in its history. They always rely on people to fight for them. After they fight, they'll start making mad. That's all they do. That is all they do. And to tell you that this is a concerted effort to colonize everybody, ever since they had their so-called security meeting last week and decided to invade the South. Some of you think it's only the East that are coming to the entire South. Have you been hearing about bandits doing this or doing that anymore? They have promised them that oil money is theirs. That is why, Madam Tambuwal, I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for you. The attack is coming. You can't escape it because it's too late. They understand that come 2023, should power leave the North, they are finished. So they must attack this.
Continue to listen.
About bandits doing this or doing that anymore. They have promised them that oil money is theirs. That is why, Madam Tambuwal, I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for you. The attack is coming. You can't escape it because it's too late. They understand that come 2023, should power leave the North, they are finished. So they must attack this. In fact, we are now forcing them to attack 1 year earlier than they had planned. This attack was meant to commence in 2022, but they are starting in 2021 because of IPOB and Eastern Security. Glory and praise be to the Almighty in heaven. Lagos is surrounded by Al-Shabaab, and that is why Tinubu is trying to pin it on IPOB without success, of course. And I also want to listen to me very carefully this evening, please, and be writing it down. I want the Nigerian government to know this. Nigerian government, the Chinese have promised to sell you weapons. You have moved money to Shanghai. I did not mention Beijing, I said Shanghai. Shanghai is where you are right now. Purchasing weapons from the Chinese. China have agreed to sell weapons to Nigeria. They have also signed an agreement to supply Nigeria with weapons. I did not say Beijing. I said you are in Shanghai. That is where you are right now negotiating to bring those weapons in. Because you have moved Al-Shabaab to Lagos. The main strike force of Al-Qaeda is in Benue State. And the hardened remnants that you recruited from Boko Haram, they are now moving to the east from Bauchi. I'm feeling up. And I want Middlemen to understand this very clearly. By the time the attack intensifies in the south, nobody will remember you were gone. Three-pronged attack. The Nigerian government recruited 3 hardened terror groups to fight this very battle for them. Al-Shabaab, they are in and around Lagos and Yoruba land. They are the ones to lead the attack against Yoruba people. The main strike force of Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb, they are advancing through Benue. They will enter into Kogi. From there, they will come into Anambra and Enugu. Whereas the main Boko Haram front, recruited by this same government, they are coming from Ebu. But they are based in Bauchi, they are coming from Bauchi. That is where the armor, that is where the tanks are that they have given to them with which to come and kill people, because they have promised them the oil and gas in Biafra land, and that Allah gave Nigeria to Fulani people. Today's date is the 16th of May 2021. I pray to Elohim that this doesn't come to pass, but it's going to happen. And when it happens, as usual, people will go back to this, but he said it all. He's a prophet, he said it all. Because you cannot stop what is coming. And I want you to know those to blame when they start massacring your men, women, and children. You will blame Obasanjo, you will blame Tinubu, you will blame Ojos Okalo, you will blame, I don't even want to mention the Sarakin Fulani Hope, who said it's irrelevant. You will blame Luchas Okorocha, you will blame the Innamanis, you will blame Iwanyang, you will blame cannot stop what is coming. And I want you to know those to blame when they start massacring your men, women, and children. You will blame Obasanjo, you will blame Tinubu, you will blame Ojos Okalo, you will blame, I don't even want to mention the Sarikina Fulani Hope who is relevant. You will blame Lujas Okorocha, you will blame the Inamanis, you will blame Iwanyang, you will blame Mrs. Tambua, you will blame the likes of Evelyn Clark. All these abusers of Fulani, they always appease Fulani. They want to please them. One Nigeria. The person you do one Nigeria for, does Fulani believe in one Nigeria? So you think that by Fulani opening their mouth and saying one Nigeria, they are doing it because they love you? Are you stupid? Are you that foolish? They are doing it because they want to conquer you. And in fact, you are conquered already. You are conquered already. Nigeria, are you not in Shanghai purchasing weapons right now, this very night? True or false, we know. When you bring them in, we are going to know. When you deploy them, we are going to know. When we destroy them in Biafra land, we will also tell you that we've destroyed them. To let you understand that our own intelligence is more than yours. Because in Yoruba land right now, not only are they refugees in Benin Republic, which some of them do not know, because the news is being suppressed, Yoruba people are paying ransom to go to their farms. Ask yourself this question. Somebody as influential as Wole Soyinka cannot go to his farm. He's a Yoruba man. Wole Soyinka, of course, one of the people that I blame for the mess that Nigeria is in. A man who is learned should be educating those of us. Should be foretelling the dangers to come.
Let's just stop here and let me just interpret what he has just said, before we continue. Now, before I decode what Nnamdi Kanu has said so far, I want us to, there's something I said before that I want to repeat again. Nnamdi Kanu is not the one that generates all these brokers that he makes. I told you they are generated by his handlers, his white masters who are controlling him. Those are the things, and they are what he is controlled by, John Campbell, of foreign relations. They are the executioners, they are the people that are in charge, of Africa and most of the international operations. They do the deployment. So there are coded things, that already there, which he often will interject with his own natural ideas, to make for a flow. That is how all these things are done. So that is one thing I want you to understand, by when we are decoding all these things that he's saying in his broadcast and all that. So the ones we have been following John Kerry's speech, even this one that Nnamdi Kanu is making now, that is being written by the Council of Foreign Relations, they are two sides of the same coin. They are two sides of the same, just the same thing, because this is the deployment. You understand me? So what Nnamdi Kanu, let's just go slowly, let me show you exactly what he's saying. Let me, as I'm, to make it louder from my own, what I wrote about what he said. So you will go and Google the speech by yourself so that you can be able to flow on the interpretations that I'm making. Now, going to what he said, the world will know that we are not terrorists. We have not gone to market to bomb people. All these things are deployment. He's sending signals to people that will go to, you hear when we are reading John Kerry's speech, where he said Al-Shabaab detonated a bomb in an open market near Gakayo or something like that. So all those London terrorists, you see when he mentioned their name, since he said that if he takes us the group that operating in Lagos, that we have not said it. He has laid all the foundations. It is now that you will see him, we have mentioned Zik and Ahmadu Bello and all that. Now he will now come to the actual thing of releasing the bombs, He said the world will know that we are not terrorists. We have not gone to market to bomb people. We have not gone to markets to bomb people. We have not gone to churches to kill people. You see how Lord Resistance Army in John Kerry's speech, Lord Resistance Army, how they were burning churches and all that. That is the deployment is making. He said, we have not killed anybody. As a matter of fact, what ESN is doing is driving the Fulani terrorists in our forest. How can that make us terrorists? By pursuing terrorists. How is that possible? Now watch. After this, just watch. When you are listening, watch. After this, now you will start to release the bomb. Now pay attention. He's telling them. He's telling the agents. You don't know. There are people, all these London terrorists and all that, he's sending signal. They are the people who don't work. Their work is, they are deployed people who take 24 hours listening to all the whole broadcasts of Radio Biafra morning, night. And even all these, their presenters and all that. Whatever, so whatever repeat broadcast of Nnamdi Kanu they are making on any particular day is what? Instructional order for the troops that already deployed, you know, what they are going to do. All their signals, that is what they do. So you see that these things, they have already, they are planned every other thing for execution. And incidentally, that was exactly how God created this world, but people don't know. You see, so when you go to Genesis, they are saying God, on the first day God made this, God is calling the things I've already created over time, you know, into existence. That's exactly what they do. So look at when they already packaged this operation, and now they have deployed troops, and you see how the mobilization is being done. So all these Nnamdi Kanu's broadcast and the peak broadcast are what? Orders that must, the instructional orders that must be carried out by the decoded, by the deployed jihadists already in Biafra land and elsewhere throughout Nigeria on what they are going to do, you know, through the Radio Biafra that have been configured, you know, to speak in every language, you know, both for freedom and other. So that's exactly what they are doing. So when you say pay attention, he's telling them, he's telling all this, they are telling them, you know, the standard is giving out the instruction. He said, now pay attention to what I have to say. Do you remember those police they sent to Somalia? And when you just pay attention, you remember now, see it. You just what the bombs are coming. You see. To Somalia? I want people in Lagos to confirm this. I want my Yoruba brothers and sisters to confirm this tonight and tomorrow morning. Do you know those police people they sent to Somalia? Ask yourself, why should any sensible government in the world send their police to Somalia? Is that possible? Do you know what they want to? Do you know what they want to Somalia to do? I think that the Nigerian government will be shocked tonight that we have this intel, and I want to let them understand that the M branch of this very government, that is the M branch of IPOB movement. Notice M branch will come to that later. M branch of this movement of IPOB. Okay, that the M branch of this very movement of IPOB to restore Biafra, our M branch is far more resourceful than any other organization in the whole world, Apple. There is no move they make that we don't know. We know how many tanks they are bringing. Watch out, watch out. We know how many tanks that they are bringing. We know how many soldiers they are bringing. We know the type of armaments they are bringing. Everything we know. M branch is using M branch to cover. IPOB M branch. As the National Security Advisor of Nigeria, as your head of National Military Intelligence in Nigeria, these are the moves in the Nigerian government. As all the so-called bigwigs of intelligence in Nigeria, and also as the British, why did Nigeria send the so-called policemen to Somalia to go and train people? Do you know what they went to Somalia to do? They went to Somalia and recruit Al-Shabaab, terrorist organization, to come to Nigeria and help them fight this war. Look at terrorist organizations. You see it? They went to Somalia to do what? Al-Shabaab. So the Nigerian government, you know, they are bringing Al-Shabaab to join with the local terrorists that they have here. These are the plans that his white masters have already made, that they are pronouncing through him. They went to Somalia to recruit Al-Shabaab terrorist operatives to come to Nigeria to help them fight this war. That was why they went to Somalia. I'm sure this night they will be shocked how we got this information. They went to Somalia. I'm sure they'll be shocked how we got this information. They went to Somalia. There is no country in the world after the debacle of U.S. rescue mission Operation Hope under George Bush. We still come to Operation Hope after. Let me just rush out. Bush Senior. Nobody in the world, no country in the world have dared to send their people into Mogadishu, only Nigeria. Why? To go and recruit the very deadly Al-Shabaab terrorist group. to come, just watch out, to come and fight for them. Remember the intel all over the place. America gave you intel a few weeks ago. This is telling them where the other is coming from. I also have the latest one they gave today, where America said that terrorists are now moving south. He's telling them that they should be moving south. Watch out. Terrorists are now moving south. I want the whole world to understand. I want people to understand that you, Afonja, you are not safe. These are the people who are surrounding Lagos today. They are the ones in the forest of Yoruba land. This is deployment. So these Al-Shabaab are the ones, the operational area is what? Yoruba land. And then the Yorubas are there betraying Igbos. They don't know that assignment operations have been passed for their own slaughter. Just watch out. In Yoruba land, their leadership have come. The Nigerian government, the leadership has come. The Nigerian government, the Fulani Caliphate government, sent their hardened men to Somalia to go and recruit Al-Shabaab terror group because they did not have the number to fight in the south. So they are complementing with terrorists. They are recruiting across the Sahel, but most importantly, Al-Shabaab in Somalia. That was why they went to Somalia. Have you had any updates since they went to Somalia? Have they tried to show any person they have recruited since they went to Somalia, or heard from the Somalian government? You know, the answer is no, because their motive there is sinister. They went there to borrow and recruit Al-Shabaab terrorists to come and kill all of you, shouting one Nigeria with green, white, green flag. You know, sometimes, I think Elohim, Chineke nna pụrụ ime ihe niile, may be trying to hold us back to unleash these things from the Fulani so that all the Efulefus will die in misery and in pain. That was why they went to Somalia to recruit Al-Shabaab to come and fight for them. And this Al-Shabaab, they are the ones who are in Lagos, planning to attack Lagos, that Tinubu told the commissioner of police that it is IPOP. So it's him that told you all this plot, have you? So Al-Shabaab area of operation is Lagos. Are you following what I'm saying? You see, he's asking them. You see, he's telling them. You see, because they already know his signal, so they will decode it. So that's the point. He said, are you following what I'm saying? Ask yourself, oh man, black people, why did God make me a black person? I cannot understand. Black people cannot reason. You see, the insult has come, so that he will take your attention away from the signal that is passing. Signal for your, for your total destruction, Like he said, that the oppressor, will never be so strong if you did not have, accomplice among the oppressed. If the oppressor don't have an accomplice among you, he cannot be so strong. Now the Kano is the accomplice, the mole inside that is killing you, but you don't know. He said, but Tinubu tell the commissioner of police that is type of. Are you following what I'm saying? Ask yourself, oh my, black people, why did God make me a black person? I cannot understand. Black people cannot reason. Let me ask you again. Ever since the police went to Somalia, it is a foreign expeditionary movement. How come there is no update, or how many Somalians they have trained? Have you ever wondered why you don't ever hear anything about that? Very simple reason. They went to recruit terrorists, Al-Shabaab, and they are the ones now and around Lagos, planning to launch multiple attacks in Lagos, and a human being, somebody that claimed to have conscience, wake up in the morning and decided to blame IPOP, when Tinubu know that those who are in the bushes and forests and in around Lagos are Al-Shabaab hardened terrorists, all the way from Mogadishu. History will be kind to IPOB. As this our brother just stated, I told you, Sahara Reporters is the blackboard where they plan their stories. The brother is calling Raphael or whatever. His name is Adebayo Raphael. If they tell you in this world that Yoruba people will rise up to right glowingly in defense of IPOP. You will not believe it, but it is there, very clear in black letters. Al-Shabaab is now in Lagos because Fulani knows they don't have the number. They cannot win this war. Nigeria has never won any war on their own before in history. They always rely on people to fight for them. After the fight, they will start making mouth. That is all they do. That is all they do. And to think that this is a concerted effort to colonize everybody. Ever since they had their security meeting last week and decided to invade the South, some of you think it's only the East. They are coming for the entire South, for the entire South. Have you been hearing bandits doing this, ordering this anymore? They have promised them that all your money is there. That is why, Madam Timbuwari, that is Wike, I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for you. The attack is coming. You can't escape it because it is too late. Because they understand that come 2023, if power leaves the North, they are finished. He's telling them exactly that if they miss this opportunity, they are gone. That they are finished. So they must attack. In fact, we are now forcing them to attack 1 year earlier than they have planned. The attack was meant to commence in 2022, but they are carrying out in 2021 because IPOP and the Eastern Security Network, glory and praise be to Almighty Chukwuka Abiyama. Lagos is surrounded by Al-Shabaab. That is why Tinubu is trying to pin it on IPOB without, and I don't want, listen to me very carefully. Please, and be writing it down. He's telling them because it's important. And be writing it down. I want the Nigerian government to know this. Nigerian government, the Chinese have promised, this is evident. Just watch and listen. The Nigerian government, the Chinese have promised to sell you weapons. You have moved money to Shanghai. I did not mention Beijing. I said Shanghai. Shanghai is where you are right now, seeking weapons from the Chinese. Chinese have agreed to sell weapons to Nigeria, and they have also signed an agreement to supply Nigeria with weapons. I did not say Beijing. I say you are in Shanghai. That is where you are right now, negotiating to bring those weapons in, because you have moved Al-Shabaab to Lagos. The main strike force, now listen. The main strike force of Al-Qaeda is in Benue State. Watch out. And the hardened remnants that you recruited from Boko Haram, they are now moved to the east from Bauchi. You see, he is telling them that if they miss this opportunity, this jihad, if they miss it, that they are finished, no more for them. So the jihad must go on. Now look at it, where he's saying, Nigerian government, he told them to write it down, to be very careful. Nigerian government, the Chinese have promised to sell you weapons and all that. That is how you know how high Nnamdi Kanu is in this state to say something. They are using Nnamdi Kanu to pass an international signal to somebody they have in China, telling them that on government to government level, that is the American and Chinese level, on government to government level, that Chinese have promised them weapons. They have signed agreement with Chinese that they should go and negotiate. But to avoid suspicious and to avoid, people discovering what is happening, that they should not go to Beijing, the capital, that what they are going to is that they have to go to Shanghai. That is where they are going to go. So somebody is already going there. He's pushing them, not Nigerians. So this will be an American, another top agent that they are passing this instruction to go to China, to go to Shanghai. That is where the weapons are and everything, and move the weapons to Nigeria. Now he started seeing how he have started mentioning the terrorist groups and all that. So let me just continue. And I want the middle belt to understand this very clearly. By the time the operation will start from the south. Nobody will remember you. He's telling them now, he's deploying them and telling them how it will be. He said the middle belt will be swallowed up. That the operation is going to start in the south. All of them will be gone. You see? Nobody will remember you. You are gone. Three-pronged attack. Now he's sending them order on how the attack will go. Three-pronged attack. You see? Three-pronged attack. Nigerian government recruited three-pronged attack. Nigerian government recruited 3 hardened terror groups to fight this battle for them. Al-Shabaab, they are in and around Lagos. They are in Yoruba land. They are the ones to lead the attack against Yoruba land. The main strike force, now listen very well how this thing is going to happen. The main strike force of Akweda, they listen, is mentioning the groups that are in Nigeria. The main strike force of Akweda in the Maghreb, they are advancing through Benue. They will enter into Kogi. From there, they will come into Anambra and Enugu. Whereas the main Boko Haram force, recruited by this very government, they are coming from Ebonyi. But their base is what? In Bauchi. They are coming from Bauchi. That is where their armored tanks, that is where their tanks are, that are given to them to use to come and kill people, because they have promised them the oil and gas in Biafra land, as Allah has given Nigeria to Fulani people. Today's date is what? 15th of May 2021. Go and get this time. And you see how he deployed them. The main strike force, Bauchi, they are bringing their tanks from Bauchi to what? Biafra land. So immediately you see these tanks coming from Bauchi to Biafra land, the operation is going to start. I don't know when this is. I don't know when this publication will come out. It may take a long while, but from my calculation, the attack will start from middle of September. It will start from middle of September onwards. In a flash, bam, they start to kill people. You see, Allah has given Nigeria to Fulani people. You see, because they have promised them the oil and gas in Biafra land, as Allah has given Nigeria to Fulani. As Allah has given Nigeria to Fulani people. Today's date is 15th of May 2021. Let's just pause here and let me bring it. I told you this one is the executioning aspect of it that was written by John Campbell of Foreign Relations. This is now. Now let's go back to John Kerry's speech. Let me bring it down. We have said it before, but let me bring it down for you to understand exactly what is going here. The same thing. Check the number of squads that have been deployed here. This is the first phase of this thing, how it was coded by John Kerry's speech in 2016. Subheading of his speech, that he delivered in Sokoto, covering extremism. Now I'm quoting John Kerry. Now, certainly, northeastern Nigeria is not the only region that is plagued by violent extremism. And sadly, start to count the number of terror groups. Sadly, Boko Haram isn't the only terrorist group that we face in the world today, which is what I told you, that Boko Haram is not the only terror group that they created. Still quoting him. Earlier this year, an Islamic militant group linked to Al-Qaeda killed 30 people when they bombed the hotel in Burkina Faso. Over the first 6 months of 2016, the Lord's Resistance Army abducted more than 500 people, mostly in the Central African Republic and the Democratic Republic of Congo. And just a few days ago, Al-Shabaab militants killed 15 people and injured more than 80 when they detonated an attack near an open market in Galkayo, in Somalia. And terrorists from or inspired by Daesh have carried out vicious attacks in Europe, the Middle East, South Asia, and the United States of America. So make no mistake, we don't have to be the prisoners of this violent extremism. It can be eliminated. End of quote. Let me just go down. Now, how many terror groups did he mention in that thing? Look at it. This is the mobilization aspect of it. Unless this broadcast stop them, this publication stop them, if it doesn't stop them, then like I told you, from middle of September onwards, the killing will start. And we are going to use Nnamdi Kanu to prove our case both against the federal government and against the international sponsors. So anything that happens, the current democratic president will be held responsible, plus Trump and all of them. I'm coming to that. How many groups did he mention? Now he mentioned what? Boko Haram, one. Islamic militant group. That is, Islamic militant group means what? ISIS or ISWAP. They are here. What? Al-Qaeda. He mentioned Al-Qaeda. That is 3. He mentioned Lord Resistance Army. That is 4. He mentioned Al-Shabaab. That is 5. He mentioned terrorists from or inspired by Daesh. That is meaning what? Meaning the bandits and the Fulani herdsmen. Look at it exactly. And those are the people that are currently here with us. Now back to Nnamdi Kanu's speech. You see? Today's date is the 15th of May 2021. And I pray to Elohim that this doesn't come to pass, but it is going to happen. That is the person that is getting Biafra from you. Pray to Elohim. That do you see how church and state merge? But this is going to happen. You see? That this doesn't come to pass, and I pray to Elohim that this doesn't come to pass, but it is going to happen. And when it happens, people will go back to it and say, hey, but he said it too, he's a prophet too, he said it too, because you cannot stop what is coming. And I want you to know those to blame when they will start massacring you, your men, your women, and your children. You will blame Obasanjo, you will blame Tinubu, you will blame Ojo Zokalo, you will blame, I don't want to mention his name, Sarakin Fulani, Uzadimma, because he's irrelevant. You will blame Locha Sokorocha, you will blame Naman, you will blame Iwanyangu, you will blame Mrs. Tambuwari, you will blame the likes of Edwin Clark. All these officers of Fulani, they always appease Fulani. They want to please them. One Nigeria. The person you are doing one Nigeria with. Does Fulani believe in one Nigeria? So you see Fulani opening their mouth to say one Nigeria. Do you think they are doing it because they love you? Are you stupid? Are you that foolish? You don't know they want to conquer you. In fact, you are conquered already. That is the person that is getting Biafra for you. All these people he mentioned, in earlier ones that were written in 2016, letter to Abawani, I will show you how they plotted to eliminate both Jonathan or Babangida and all these ones. So these are the new ones. All of them, these people he mentioned, both Soyinka, all of them are going to be eliminated. They will be killed. Now he is telling you, Elohim, it's not going to happen. Elohim said, we are going to use Nnamdi Kanu to prove our case as a prime evidence against both the federal government and their international sponsors. Now look at how state and this thing match. He claimed that it's Elohim that is telling him, Abi. Then we shall find out how Elohim is inspiring Nnamdi Kanu. Now let's quickly, go through. Let me show you how state and prophecies, how they merge. State and all these criminals that call themselves prophets, like Nnamdi Kanu. When he say, God. Have you seen how God is sending him message? He said 500 clerics assembled in Abuja for 40 days prayer deliverance for Nigeria. This is Vanguard of September 9, 2019. Clerics from all different angles. So the question is, which God did they pray? In which name did they pray to God? Look at this one. He said, Buhari optimistic Nigeria will remain united. This is this day of November 16, 2019. It's optimistic because of the plot that they coded into it. I don't want to get into details. He said, Nigeria will overcome challenges, says Gowon and the Sibanjo. This is this day, September 31, 2019. They are privy to the massacre. He said, I'll be confident Nigeria will overcome security challenges soon. Because of I'm coming, I want to read one or two. 2019, there will be peace in Nigeria, says Bishop Oyedepo. This is Punch of 8, 2019. He said, 2019, yes, Nigeria 59, God will frustrate any evil collaborators, any evil cabal in Nigeria, Pastor Tunde Bakara, all those criminals, Kumuyi, God will rewrite Nigerian history soon. Don't mind all of them, privy to the crime that the government, they are using them, to kill it as if it's a prophecy. Then look at this demon. Vice President Yemi Osibanjo says a new Nigeria is in the making and that it is covered by a cloud that will eventually pass. That is what the cable May 21, 2021. Quoting him, he said, the new nation is batting already. It is covered by a cloud, but the cloud will pass, and God Almighty will take all the glory for the batting of a new nation. As we are the sword, we are also the light. The light ends the darkness. It marks the end of the night of weeping and marks the glorious sunlight of the morning of joy. So the pouring the sunlight of morning of joy. So the pouring of the salt into the source of the water, the source of the problem, is the prophetic act we perform today. Don't mind the criminal. You have been going to Rwanda. That's what they so he's coded it into prophecy, but they are privy. But they don't know that the Yorubas are going to suffer a worse thing. Let me read that. It's also Nigerian problems merely bread for us. This is Sahara Reporter. You see, this is what he said, September 30, 2019. Do you know what he said? He said, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says problems plaguing Nigeria are mere bread for the President Muhammadu Buhari's regime, urging Nigerians to have a similar optimistic viewpoint. Osinbajo pointed out that deep-seated problems like corruption, ethnic and religious strife were merely bread. The country's vice president stated this at the National Christian Center ahead of Nigerian 59 independence anniversary. Osinbajo declared, God Almighty has taken away their powers. The noise we hear, the turbulence we express are the last gasp of a defeated foe. The day of freedom is at the door. As with Abraham, we in the ways of Hebrew 11:10 wait for the new Nigeria, which has foundation, whose builders and maker is God. You are all going to die, Osinbajo and all this cabal about Sanjay. Guys, I will show you how they will eliminate them. You know why I'm saying this? Now, this is their plot. You know, when all these commanders of Boko Haram, when people are killed massively, their dead bodies will not even see them because they will take them. Anyone they are killing, they will take them. The organs, already their ships are back in the Gulf. They will carry all the dead bodies, they go away in the Gulf, go and harvest their organs in all these foreign countries. Then you see all these people that troop in, you know, from all over the place, both these ones that came during the election and all over the place. You know, all of them will now come into Biafra land. What they are doing now, they are killing Biafrans. These people have already been rehearsing how to be like Igbos, dressing like Igbos. They'll be taking up the homes of Igbos. That is what they plot to do. They will be taking up every home of Igbos. You know, you won't even discover that, you know, like the 7 cow, you know, lame cow that swallowed the fat one. You won't even discover that the Igbos are missing because they will be swallowed. These people will swallow all of them. Bam, 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 like the Igbos. Then these commanders of Boko Haram, all these things they are using to fight here, they will create a marriage all over the place. That is what they are going to do. You understand me? So the Igbos will be swallowed, will be consumed by these forces. Then what will happen? The United Nations will come and say they want to do referendum for you. And when they vote, the result will be what? Go on with one Nigeria. That is exactly what they plotted to do. And once they do that, what are they going to do? They are now going to do a coup. So not no Igbo man, any Igbo man that participates in any coup, we are going to erase their family. When they do the coup, they will kill Buhari and all that, and then call Nigeria to make peace. Possibly they can even call an Igbo man to become the president of Nigeria. But so they will bring in a candidate of Igbo origin and you know, who will be a nationalist, who will accept wherever you are, stay there, you are there, you know, who will dance to their tune. That is what they are going to do. Then all the killings and everything, that is why United Nations, all of them keep quiet. They want the killing to go. All these things Nnamdi Kanu are doing, they are preparing it for the International Criminal Court. That is where the everything is going. All these things that they are doing, that is their plot. They are going to the International Criminal Court. When all these killings happens, then they will pin all the whole debt on Buhari, whom they will eliminate. Just like beat Biden, you know, this demonic government of Democrats that are responsible for what is happening now. That is the show that is going on in COVID-19 deaths. You know, the COVID-19, you know, that they want to use and eliminate the world, you know, the population that they want to eliminate. That is what they are doing. So by the time they get the number, the quantum number of people they want to kill, they will blame everything on Biden, who will not even complete his tenure. That is how they will eliminate Biden himself. You understand me? So that, you know, talk a little bit about conclusion with COVID-19, then we conclude about this thing. So the Anambra election, I'm going to show you, the Anambra election will go ahead. I will tell you how we are going to do the Anambra election. But before then, we are going to remove Hope Uzodinma. I'm going to show you how we are going to remove Hope Uzodinma. That is no problem. But the Anambra election stays. So let's talk a little bit about the COVID-19, you know. Even before closing with the coronavirus, you know, like those of us in abroad, especially in the United States of America and all over Europe, we are already programmed to die here. You know, but we don't know. Their work system have already changed. We are programmed to die here. And even those of us that will be able to make it and go back to their land, what will happen? That time the Fulani have taken away your ancestral homes. kill all your relatives over there and pretend to be them, dressing like Igbos and others. When you manage to get there and you call your relative, they already clone their voice and it will be talking as if it is a relative. When you manage to get home and you go to your ancestral home, they will drag you in and slaughter you. And that is the end of you. Then when the United Nations, do their referendum, it will become go on with one Nigeria, like as I told you. And at the end, what will they do? They pin out the date on Buhari. And, like in a coup or something like that, they told you Buhari had been assassinated. That's what they're going to do, and everything will end there, and they call an Igbo man come and become the president of Nigeria. That's exactly what they have been running, like exactly what they're doing with COVID-19, as I told you, with Biden. So when we get into COVID-19 issue, let me start with this. I'd like to start this COVID-19 with this. Let me start with this story.